Welcome everyone, and we are back to another 2020 Olympiad Day. My name is Roland Preusses, like usual, and today I'm here with Anna Masichuk. How are you, Anna?
Welcome everyone. Hi Roland. I feel great. I feel excited to see the new games, and it's the first time I'm commenting on the Olympiad games, so it's really great.
Yeah, so how have you been following the Olympiad a little bit? What are your thoughts about the tournament in general?
I follow some of the games, and to be honest, I actually even recorded one video for Chess.com channel about one of the games from this Olympiad. Maybe you have seen it, maybe not. Maybe some of the viewers checked it before. But yes, we are not on the top division yet, but we are already commenting on Division 2, and some of the teams will qualify to the top division from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's remind everybody what exactly the online Olympiad is. So we've got a nice card for everybody to read here. So yeah, I'm just going to read it right now. It's a truly worldwide event featuring 163 teams and over 1,500 players from around the world. It's really all kinds of countries are participating, countries that I have never even heard of. That is really, really special, and to see how much chess is being played all around the world here. All right, and of course the divisions are the teams are divided in divisions according to strength, and are further divided also on time zone and strength. So that is something that we actually were seeing in the past divisions as well. We started with a low average rating, but now we're getting actually to the top teams, for example, Germany and Romania. And yeah, what I like very much here is that also each team consists of two open boards, two women boards, one junior male board, and one junior female board. So it's like, it's not just the best players of a country, it's also the potential that a country has, for example, in the youth division. So yeah, so let's take a look at the countries that are participating in the division that we are currently going to do the broadcast about. That is Division 2. Like I said, Germany, Romania, the Netherlands, the top teams here, and also, of course, a bunch of other countries that are eager to qualify for the top division. So yeah, let's take a look at the pools in Division 2. So these are the pools. The top three will move on to the next division, the top division. And as you guys can see, for example, in Pool A, that is the one that we are going to start with today. And actually, all throughout the day, it's going to be a long day for us commentators. We are going to cover all the other pools that are in this division. So, but okay, we're going to start with Pool A. And yeah, do you have a favorite in Pool A, perhaps, Anna?
It's really difficult to say, but I believe the highest rated team is the team of Germany, and they really have good chances to qualify to the top division. While yes, in other pools there are also many good teams. Romania, as you have pointed already, they have very strong women's and junior boards. The Netherlands with Anish Giri will perform today, and I think they are the favorite in the Pool C. Also, I see Spain in Pool C, so maybe it will be a close battle. In and in Pool D, I see a number of really good teams like Croatia, Serbia. It's really difficult to pick one or even two who will be the favorite. While looking at the Pool E, England has a very strong team. So yeah, they are the highest rated, and they are like the clear main candidate for taking this spot.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree totally. Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know. We may see many unpredictable results. So yeah, let's take a look at some games.
Yes, of course. The games have already started. I'm going to try and find actually the match between Germany and Bangladesh because Germany, like you said, is the rating favorite in this pool. So I'm curious to see if they are going to do well in the first round. Of course, they're not the only team who are one of the favorites to qualify. For example, you've got Belarus. You've got Belgium. All these countries will try, of course, to claim a spot in the next division. But okay, let's see if I can find it. I think we've got here Indonesia versus Turkmenistan. That's not correct, but I'm also going to try and find just some interesting games in general.
Here you
Uh,
are, Daniel Friedman plays
yeah,
for Germany.
exactly. So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit about this position, Anna? What do you think? What are your first thoughts?
Oh, it's just the opening, and I think it came from Slav defense or some version of the Slav with G3.
Yeah,
Yeah, white waited some time before playing C4. But now, yeah, queen B3, attacking the pawn on B7.
yeah,
So queen B6 looked logical, and now C5 was played.
yep.
Uh,
C5.
And black had to face the choice if they want to retreat the queen or they take on b3. But after taking on b3, white would have taken with the pawn and the a file would be opened. While the next plan for white will be pushing b5 before b5 or moving the knight from f3 to a5, something like knight d2, knight b3, knight a5. This is like the
That's
typical
that's a
playing
good plan,
position.
yeah. So I was thinking actually that in positions like this, usually you want to play a6 as black, correct? And then
Yeah,
after b4, you want to stop white from playing b5 because that is now possible because there is a pin on the a file. So what if I play a move like rook c8? But then I guess that a move like knight d2, knight b3, and knight a5 is very good.
yeah, attacking the pawn on b7, and sometimes there are even sacrifices of the piece if black somehow defends this pawn. White is sacrificing this knight and then taking the pawn on a6, attacking the pawn on c6, and they will have a very strong b pawn and c pawn. They will be connected past pawns. So some plans of this kind are often seen in this type of structure.
Okay. Yeah, but and maybe this is just very good for white because the opponent of Daniel Friedman actually decided not to go for queen takes b6. Let me just check. Yeah, he went back with queen c7, bishop f4, queen c8. It looks very passive to me. Knight h4, bishop g6, all very normal. Takes, takes, short castle, and this is the current position. So yeah, what do you think? Is black doing okay or is white simply better?
To be honest, I prefer white a little bit because I have space advantage, but black's position is very solid in the moment. And speaking about this position, I think black should try. Oh, I wanted to speak about the e5 breakthrough. While when the white's pawn was still on b2, these ideas are possible. Yes, let's say rook
I'm
c1.
just gonna put a move in there, rook c1. So
Yeah,
here,
just the idea to play e5, and if d takes e5, then knight g4, and both pawns are under attack. So we will take
yeah,
one of them on the next move.
I think maybe e6 is now very good because then the g6 pawn will fall.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
true.
it's a very common idea. I agree there. Yeah, yeah. Maybe it needs some extra preparation. Is also an idea to play something like bishop d8 and bishop c7.
Slowly preparing e5. Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So white played b4, preparing against e5, and black simply played a6. So I'm guessing that after a4 and b5 is going to come, and black is indeed going to try and play e5 at some point. Actually, you could also play knight h5, bishop goes, and then e5. That's also an idea. But yeah, I mean, we're still in the opening stage, not much heavy things going on. But f3, okay, this is maybe something worth discussing. What do you think about f3?
f3, well, the idea is pretty obvious. White wants to push e4 on the next move.
Mm-hmm.
But f3 is also weakening the king a little bit, so it has some pluses and minuses. I am not ready to say whether this move was good or bad. But even without f3, sometimes there are ideas to play e4. Maybe right here, I'm not sure about it. D takes e4, knight e4. And yes, we gave this d5 square for the knight, and the knight can immediately jump there. But thankfully to the space advantage, white also has some benefits, and they increased the pressure in the center. So e4 was an interesting try, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree as well. It seems like after taking, for example, knight f6, bishop goes, knight d5, that the knight is also very good on d5. I'd like to change one pair of knights because white had the option to jump to d6 at some point. But after knight d5, yeah, I think white, like you said, has a nice solid space advantage here. One idea could be it's after bishop d2 to maybe push h4, h5 at some point. And of course, a4, b5 is also still in the air. And black is very solid though, but it is, I would say that white has also got a slight advantage here, simply due to the space advantage and the bishop pair, of course. But okay, yeah, we've talked a
Yeah.
lot about this game. I say let's move on to another one. I think we're gonna move to Lara Schulze. I think this is board one of the women's board, so board three of the match. Okay, what kind of opening was this? Let's check this real briefly. I think this was, well, okay. Yeah, let's see. So we're gonna have, what was the opening name called? I think it's Stonehenge, right? Or something.
It's something like conversation, yes, but then it was transferred to Morozzi system when the
Yeah,
pawns
Morozzi.
were on e4 and c4.
Yeah.
I was just checking because I think I played with Rani Hamid at the Women's World Chess Championship. So he
Ah,
was my opponent, I believe, in the first round.
okay. How did that go?
I won, yeah, 2-0, but I think this is an old lady, but she likes chess a lot. I mean, I hope I am not mistaken.
All right. Well, how is she doing in this game? So let's move on to the current position. What do you think? Is she doing all right?
Here we see that white has a space advantage once again, but it's a typical structure in the Sicilian. So yeah, it's a bit too early to draw some conclusions. I believe white is a little bit better and they should try to push c5, somehow maybe rook d1, and then c5 will be the threat, because if you play c5 immediately, black would have taken on c5 and the pawn on d5 will be unprotected. So it's not possible to do that in this
Show that on the board.
position.
Win
All right.
c5. Yeah. All right.
But if we start, f3 was played,
Yep.
not allowing knight g4. I think h3 also deserved attention,
Okay.
but f3 was quite okay.
Yeah, and maybe one of the points is actually played in the game because now knight h5 is possible, and the pawn on f3 is blocking the bishop on e2. Yeah, knight h5, good move, or what do you think?
True, and knight f4 is kind of a threat, because if we trade this knight for the bishop, we will come to the opposite colored bishop middle game, and it's not clear who is better because now white's king is weaker.
Okay, let me make a move. Let's say king h1, and now probably knight f4, yeah? So, okay, white has a choice to play queen d2 or to take on f4. I guess taking on f4 is not such a good idea, yeah?
And not like the very bad one, but if you take on f4, it takes f4. Black's pawn structure is a bit spoiled. Yeah, that's true. That's true. They have doubled f pawns, and the pawn on f4 looks like a little bit weak. But when the bishop gets to f6 and maybe later on to e5, this bishop will be much more active. And also it can be better when it comes to the defense as well. While white light squared bishop on e2 is not that active at the moment. Maybe after they push c5, but I don't see how to do it right in the moment.
Yeah, because the bishop is still on e7 protecting everything. All right, so yeah, I agree there. And after knight f4, what do you think after queen d2? Is that a better move, or do you think bishop takes f4 has the preference?
To be honest, I don't know. I think both of the options are reasonable. I think after both queen d2 and bishop f4, white is slightly better, but maybe not so much. I would prefer actually to keep the two bishop pair advantage and to play the position with both of the bishops on the board.
course. Let's see if we can make that happen, actually. So white played queen d2. So after knight f4, white has the option to take the pawn. And after knight f4, there's an option also with bishop d1, perhaps. So yeah, so that keeps the bishop there, I guess, yeah.
I
And
really liked queen d2. I think it's a nice prophylactical move.
yeah, I agree too. Knight f4 not played, f5 played in this case. One of my favorite moves, but yeah, f5 gaining some space. And yeah, what do you think? Is g5 an idea? What do you think is um, going to happen in this position for black?
I don't think that the attack which we may see in the King's Indian starting with something like f4, g5, g4 is actually possible in this position because black doesn't have a light squared bishop who would support this attack. And just imagine, let's make the move something like rook fd1 and
Hmm.
black plays f4, let's say,
Hmm.
bishop f2, then it's really difficult to play. I mean, g5, knight f6, g4, you still need a lot of moves for that, while c5 on the other flank will come soon, and maybe black's position will be just destroyed in a few moves.
Yeah,
So I think black has to be accurate with that.
yeah, I agree there. I'm actually also wondering what the move f5 could bring for black in general, because if you don't want to play f4, then yeah, then what is the move f5 doing? I also don't think that you want to play e4. So yeah, I'm wondering what the move f5 does in general. But of course, you are gaining space on the king side, so that's a good thing. On the other hand, for example, here, I think white can already play c5 if white wants to. So for some reason, I think that white is just a bit better here. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, me too. After c5, there is a threat of c6, because if black is not
Bishop?
careful, yeah, rook fd8, something like this, c6, b takes c6, d takes c6, rook c6, and queen d5 check. Win the rook.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. Probably it's best then for black to play something like king h8
Or knight
instead,
f6 back. Maybe knight f6 is more reasonable.
or knight f6 back. And now if you play c6, then after takes, rook takes, you don't have queen d5 anymore because of the knight. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, interesting game. I say let's move on to another one. Let's see, we've got here. This seems to be board 4, so that means the second women's board in this match. Um, yeah, looks very solid for both. Um, I think white would be a bit better still. But what are your first thoughts?
First of all, a few words about Felice Osmanogia. She is not so high-rated player as we can see here. She's even below 2000, but I think it's just because of she doesn't have much experience in online games. Because her FIDE rating should be something like 2300, so she's
Okay.
like a really very good junior board for Germany, and I think the team relies on her. Speaking about the position, we see that black has a bit spoiled pawn structure. The pawns on f7 and f6, they are double pawns. And the
Mhm.
king is a little bit weak. On the other hand, black has just played king h7, which means they are preparing the rook g8. And they will try to create some pressure over the g file.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, about the ratings, you're absolutely right. These are chess.com ratings, and these are not the official FIDE ratings. If you go to chessresults.com, you can find the official rapid ratings. So, for example, I saw that Jordan van Verreest of the Netherlands, who has an official FIDE rating in classical play of about 2670, but his rapid rating is actually about 2540. So keep that in mind, everybody, when you're checking the ratings on chessresults.com. And yeah, it's better, in my opinion, because not a lot of players actually have played official rapid events. Yeah, so yeah, it's better to check the ratings individually, even though that might cost a lot of time. So yeah, it's if you want to do that, then go ahead, and that would of course be the best thing to do. But okay, never mind. So rook g8 with the idea to put some pressure over the g file.
Perhaps
Um,
the plan is something like pushing f5 and then knight h4, and then there are some real threats, or f5, f4, yeah, indeed.
yep. Yeah. So do you think that black's better?
I wouldn't say black is better. I think even white is slightly better, but white has to be careful about the ideas we have just mentioned. So I don't like so much the queen on a3. So maybe the idea to make it working is to push c5 and attacking the d6 pawn, just like one of the ideas, or bringing it closer to the center, maybe queen d3 or something of this kind.
D5 on the board. Also a thing that I was thinking of. The point is that you are threatening to take on E6 and then take on D6, of course. So let's say you play something like this, then you take, and rook takes D6, you win a pawn. So the standard reaction is here not rook C8, but a move like E5. And the question is, did white actually achieve something here?
I think this is the big question because white weakened the c4 pawn, and after rook c8, the c4 pawn is really like a weakness now. I mean, not immediately rook c8 because the pawn on a7 is obviously hanging, but just in the nearest future. While after e5, I mean, if black had the pawn on g7, I think d5 would be a positional mistake from white side. But when the pawn is on f6, the square on f5 and e4, I mean, these both squares, they may be weak and white can try to create some pressure by playing bishop d3, maybe threatening even knight h4, knight f5.
E5 on the board. Okay, yeah, indeed. So knight h4, knight f5. Yeah.
Yeah, using that there is a pin, the knight on g6 is pinned, so knight h4 is possible. It's not the
Yeah.
blunder.
Let's say black plays a move like bishop c8, trying to force f5 down the board. But then you've got knight h4, followed by knight f5 with a good position. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's very unclear,
yeah.
in my
I was
opinion.
just going to say that, yeah, because white does not really have a breakthrough yet on the queen side. c5 is forever blocked, more or less. And it takes a lot of time to get this pawn rolling on the a4, a file, which is some sort of a minority attack that you see very often. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very double-edged. It's hard to say what's really going on here. White could take on g6 at some point, perhaps. Uh, Probably not. Probably you do want to play knight f5 here, but then rook c8 is coming, like you said, at some point. So yeah, very double-edged positions between Feliz and Charmin here. All right, let's move on to another one. So this was board 4, everybody. We're rolling down the team match. So keep in mind, these are 6 boards in the match, and we are now taking a look at board 5. Luis Engel, I think is that's how you pronounce it. In Dutch, we say Engel, but of course, this is a German name. But yeah, I played against Louise Engel. Engel. Okay, I'm trying here. Don't blame me or anything. Okay, I'm trying. So after this, he's a very good player, by the way, a very talented player. I beat him once, I think, in the tournament, but he showed great prospects actually. So okay, but enough about my rambling. Let's take a look at the game. What do you think?
I think it's also a double-edged position in this game. White has weaknesses like the pawns on e4 and e3. That's true. On the other hand, they are staying very active. The queen on f5 is very active. It's creating some pressure on the f7 pawn. Yes, and knight a5 was played for this reason to avoid the pressure to ask this bishop from b3, you know, like to move somewhere. Also attacking the pawn on e4. And one more problem for black is the g6 pawn. It's also weak. So I don't know even who is better in this position. Maybe it's about equal.
A position with a lot of weaknesses, doesn't it? Like we've got here, we've got one here, we've got one here, we've got one here, we've got one here. So yeah, four big weaknesses in the position. So white is a pawn up, and but that extra pawn doesn't really matter at this point. because those are double pawns, isolated pawns on the e file. So yeah, is a move like, do you want to keep the bishop on b3 or do you want to move it somewhere, for example, to c2 or to d5 perhaps?
I'm thinking about all these possible moves, but when I move the bishop to c2, knight c4 may come attacking both of the pawns, and I don't see the way how to protect them both. There is a little trick with e5,
Yes.
threatening the mate on a7, but I believe black can simply play g6, attacking the queen, and winning some of the pawns on the next move. I don't think it works for white. That's why I don't believe bishop c2 is a good move.
Okay.
But bishop d5 or even e5, I was thinking about e5 to get rid of one of these weak pawns. Maybe
Okay.
it's not the best. We have we take on b3, take on f3, and
you do have some in between moves perhaps, but let's say you
but then
take,
queen e3. So
ah,
probably a
that's
takes d6
clever. Yeah,
king becomes weak.
I was trying to be clever with e takes d6, but Anna's refuting my cleverness already really quickly here. Queen takes e3 with check, and then the bishop is gonna move. Black will be a piece up. So no clever stuff. White has to take back on f3, probably with the rook, and then the e5 pawn will fall with d takes e5, I guess. Yeah, and
Maybe fire doesn't work actually.
yeah, doesn't seem like it. It seems to lose a pawn. So probably then the best move is bishop d5, right?
Maybe, yeah. Let's try to look at it. Bishop d5. If bishop takes d5, what do we do?
Hmm. Well, I'm gonna take back. Well, if e takes d5, you've already showed the queen takes e3 will be there. So probably I'll have to take back with the queen. Yeah, I'm gonna take back with the queen.
And now once again, I mean, this knight c4 is like a headache for white.
Yeah, once again, 2 pawns on b2 and the e3 hanging. So yeah, we've got 3 candidate moves, and they were more or less all refuted. So that means that we have to think a little bit out of the box here. We have to protect e4 somehow, and
Rook d4.
rook d4. Yep, looks good. And yeah, e4 is protected, and let's say I take on b3, take on b3, and now play something like rook e8. What do you
At
think
least
the
we have
valuation?
knight d2, but maybe we are not obliged to play so passively. Maybe we have something more active. I don't see what. Maybe you don't have anything. Maybe you just play knight d2.
Yeah, maybe 92. What do you think the evaluation would be?
Okay,
Well,
before on the next move,
yeah.
pointing one more potential weakness on a6. And I think it's more or less equal.
All right. Yeah, I asked you for the evaluation, but we've actually got an evaluation bar next to the board, so I still have.
Well, but if you make a few moves in a row, I think the depth of this evaluation bar is not so high, so I'm not actually relying on it, to be
Okay,
honest.
that's very good to know. I actually also think that the evaluation bar can be very deceiving sometimes. But hey, folks, we've got it there for you so that you've got a good indication of how the position is more or less evaluated. So this one, as the evaluation bar is saying, is about equal. So yeah, and we've got Grandmaster and Musichu confirming that with her own opinion. So yeah, there you go. The evaluation bar is a solid one, but also take it with a grain of salt because, like she said, it's not the best computer that we have. So, all right.
Yeah, and we have
Well,
one more grandmaster here, Roland Pruser. So you know when there is one grandmaster and the words are proved by another grandmaster, then it already means something. By the way, we already have the first two results. I don't know from which teams.
let's take a
Let's
look.
take a look. Oh,
Turkmenistan versus
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
But Indonesia has a very strong player, Irina Sukandar Harisma. She's over 2400 in FIDE rating, and we also see that she's almost 2500 here on Chess.com. So she's
Yep.
very, very good one. And she beat the player. I heard about her. I think she played at the Olympiad a few times before.
Last year. Okay. Yeah.
But
Last
here we
time.
see, yeah, the queen on a5 is trapped. in quite a cute way.
A cute way, indeed. The queen cannot go anywhere. A very cute way, indeed. If the queen goes somewhere here, it can everywhere it can be taken. It's like, yeah, it cannot go anywhere. So this is a very nice trap here.
So the last move was basically a huge mistake from black's side. Yeah,
B6.
b6.
Yeah, if she would have played something like I don't know, rook d8 or something, then nothing would be, well, white would
Or rook
probably,
c8, or
yeah,
in b5, or
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe white is quicker with the attack.
I like white simply, yeah, because g4 is coming in, g takes h5, white has a good position, is very fast with the attack on the king side. Yeah. Okay, so this is one result. We've got a draw. Sorry if I'm going too quick. Let me know. I can go back to the games, Anna. So let's see. This was a draw between Zia Zilkina. Hard names to pronounce, but I'll try.
Zazilkina, Anastasia Zazilkina from Belarus.
There you
She's a
go.
very strong player versus Nurgul Salima from Bulgaria. In fact, they are both over 2400, but this is one more moment when we see that Chess.com ratings are lower than FIDE ratings.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So keep that in mind, everybody. And this was a very quick draw. I think they just repeated moves with the queens. Yeah, they both did not feel like.
Wow.
So
Wow. Did you see such a repetition before? I think it's the first time I see it.
yeah, it's kind of well. I think there's a good reason. I think that if white trades the queens, that black is more or less very comfortable, and yeah, otherwise there's not a lot of winning potential here. Okay, let's.
I
Okay, yep. Sorry.
And some games on the very top of the list.
Yeah, let's take a look. We've got here a game between what is it? Kyrgyzstan. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah,
Kyrgyzstan versus Philippines,
Philippines.
I
Yeah,
believe. Mark Perago is a strong grandmaster from the Philippines.
yeah. Okay, so this is clearly material up for the grandmaster from the Philippines, and I think it's going to be mate in a few moves. Takes queen h4 and mate.
Wow,
Yeah,
nice.
puzzle rush position, right? How to mate in two. All right, but very nicely done. Good start for the Philippines. And we've got also another result here, also from the Philippines. The black player won, Grandmaster Rogelio, Junior Antonio Rogelio. I have to keep apologizing, I feel like. Okay, Andrei Mansnitze. Yeah, so this was, okay, black is on piece up, and it's going to exchange everything, and things are going to be very good for. So the Philippines doing well. First two boards are winning. Let's go back to the Germany match if I can still find it. Let's see how
Yeah,
the position.
2-0 from the Philippines. Nice start. I believe their team captain is glad about it.
Well,
Oh,
you would think so, right? Let's see.
oh, Daniel. Oh, Dennis Wagner. Yeah,
This
I
is
think we didn't cover this game
not yet. This is
before.
board one, I think. So they put Dennis Wagner on board one. He is a grandmaster with a high rating of over 2600, I believe. And Daniel Friedman is board two, which kind of surprises me. I think he has the higher rating, but sometimes you can switch it up if you like. We've seen the higher rate, not always the higher rated players on board one. Uh,
No, I believe Daniel
there are.
Friedman is higher rated than Dennis Wagner, but both are quite strong. So Germany really has a good team, and they are the highest rated team in the Pool A.
Yeah,
For some reason,
absolutely.
there is a reason behind it. They have good players.
Yeah.
And Rook D6 played. What can you say about it?
Yeah, what can we say about this? I think that okay, white has got a little more space in this endgame. The pawn on e4 is more, the pawn on g7 is a permanent weakness here, but in exchange, the pawn on b3 is a permanent weakness. Is it an idea, rook d8, let's say black plays king f7 to play rook h8 perhaps, and try to put some pressure on the king side?
Oh, there is a nice trick. Oh, you wanted to play a rook h8, threatening knight h6, but a rook b8, just attacking another pawn, is also an option.
Okay, rook a8 played. White, I think white definitely has the pressure here.
I
Knight
think
e4 sometimes an idea.
Yes, but look at White's time. White is down to 20 seconds.
Yes, yes, yes.
And oh, are they trying to
Oh, I
repeat the
see
moves?
something. What about knight d4? Rook
But
d6, knight b5. That's a big threat, actually.
yeah, knight d4 was a threat. That's why black actually played knight c5.
Oh boy, isn't
Rook
this
c-
losing a pawn? Ah, okay, you get rook b1 and rook takes b6.
Yeah,
Yeah, not too sure
what?
about this. Is this going all right for white or not? Rook
If
c8.
rook c3, rook c7, it's draw, yes? 3 times repetition. Oh. So
Yeah.
I believe it's quite a good achievement for. Are they playing with Turkmenistan? Yeah, or yeah, I think
Um,
they're playing with Turkmenistan. Oh no,
Bangladesh.
with Bangladesh. Sorry.
All right.
So I think Black is happy with this result.
I think so too. I think that white was definitely having the pressure in this position. And one of the ideas that it's kind of fun to show. Let's show this on the board. So in this position, we had rook a8 played, and the threat is knight d4 and knight b5 here. So let's say I play a move like knight e5, for example, knight d4, rook d6, and now you've got the very cute rook knight b5, pinning the pawn on c6 is pinned because of the rook on c7, and you're attacking both the rooks like this.
Actually, what could happen if White played not rook a8 but rook h8 with the same idea? But one more idea is that if Black goes knight c5 here at the moment, then knight h6 is another trap. G takes h6 and rook h7.
Yeah, there are some tricks in the position, definitely. Yeah, yeah. So white was having a good position, but black manages to, yeah, control the time better, and yeah, just made a comfortable draw, I guess. Yeah, good result. Okay, so let's move on to board two. We are closing in on time trouble, and something that we haven't mentioned yet is that the time control is 15 minutes and 5 seconds increment starting from move one. So these are rapid games. Okay, black one, Daniel Friedman winning his game for Germany. And this one, let's see how we are doing right now. Okay, a lot of progress. Let's
Meanwhile, it's already 3-0 for the Philippines. One more team member brought one more important point for the Philippines.
Mhm.
So here we are with Lara Schulze.
Yeah, once again.
Once again,
Who's
true.
better and why?
Oh, seems like she's winning. Rook b3.
Probably queen takes a4, then queen takes d3 next, and
And queen takes
white
d5
queen
next.
takes d5.
Looks very good.
Yeah, so black needs to play something else. It seems like after rook b3 that white's completely winning. Yeah,
Yeah, rook d3 now, and
yeah, rook d3, pinning the knight. Looks
the
very good.
only thing that can save black is the mouse slip or
Yeah,
disconnection,
yeah.
or I don't know.
That's a really good point, actually. Yes, we've actually seen some disconnections. So, folks, if you want to keep that in mind, then there are like internet connections bar next to the name so that you can see if they're fully white. If you can see all the bars in white, then they have a good internet connection. And yeah, it's kind of funny to say that because but of course this is an online chess event, so we have to take that into account as well. We've seen some disconnections, so. All right, so let's
Yes.
see. We've got a result. This is a win position for Lara Schulze. So Germany doing well. All right, let's move on. And another win. Feliz won her game against Shirin. So
So it's
let's move
2-0,
on.
yes.
I'm sorry.
So it's already 2-0.
Yeah, I think, well, Dennis Wagner made a draw on board one, so it's at least two and a half, I think, for Germany. So they are doing well. All right, let's move on to
Good
this
start.
position, the youth board. Okay, interesting rook ending. Um,
That's what we saw long ago.
I think black might be winning here.
Rook f2, yeah, looks like. the pawn on e7 will fall
Mhm.
on the next move.
Rook f3, f5, f4.
F4.
Looks very dangerous for white. Yeah, I think rook f3 is a good move, and then just
Yes, I
start
think
rolling your
black
pawns.
shouldn't hurry with g2 because after g2, white will be in time to bring the king with king d3, king e3. So rook f3, smart move.
Well, thank you.
And now f5. Yeah, just
Yeah,
push the pawn.
f5, f4, then start pushing. Yeah, two pawns are slower than one in crossing the board, but this pawn can of course move like this, but black is already quite far with the pawn, so. Yeah, the evaluation bar here is shooting up and down. It doesn't know if it's winning or a draw yet, but
Should
what
be
would be a
winning.
first guess? Winning
Rook
for
f2.
mhm. Rook f2, probably g2 even, yeah. Or rook f well, rook f1,
Or
okay.
rook f1. But rook f1 is not supporting g2.
Okay, but king d5. Whoa.
Actually,
Can you play f3? I was thinking f3 would maybe be possible, but
f3, rook g3, f2.
yeah,
But
exactly. What
f3,
my
there was a check on g7 in between. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe you can even show it on the board.
Yeah, let me show this on the board. So my idea here was after king d5 to play f3, and after rook takes g3, then f2, and the pawn cannot be stopped. So, but Anna suggests is rook g7 check with the idea that if you go here, then you can take f2 and you've got a nice double attack like this. Right, so yeah, but maybe I can go somewhere
To
clever.
d8.
Yeah, king d8 perhaps?
King d8 maybe winning. Yeah, if c7, one last trick, you don't take on c7, I think,
Just king
but you
c8.
just play king c8. Because if you take on c7, it's not so clear.
Yeah,
Or
then rook takes
or
g3,
it is.
and after f2 you've got rook f3 once
And
again.
if rook f7, I was in time to play rook g1, and the king is pretty close to the pawn.
Yeah,
So it's a draw.
exactly.
But king c8 wins on the spot.
Yeah, let's move a few moves back. So king d8, not rook takes c7, but king c8. And I was thinking maybe king d6 would be interesting with the idea to play rook g8 and rook b8. But I
Maybe
guess you
just
can
d2 or
just go,
f2.
yeah, with the idea that if you do that, then I'm just going to put it on the board. Yes, guys, I have queen as a pre-move. Sue me. All right, so, and here f1 queen and black should be winning. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's see what happened on the board. Instead, something very different happened. White's got now a blockading king on f3. And they checked a little bit, and black is a bit stuck with progress now, but not anymore. g2 on the board, f3. This is exactly what we were hoping for black. And I think that black is just going to promote the winning position for Mohammed Fahad. And that means, well, yeah, at least a point for Bangladesh. So, yeah, against a strong player from Germany, Louis Engel.
Black
Okay.
did win this game.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the score actually in this match? It's
S- um,
3.
everybody, you can see the updated score on the left of the board. And as you can see, Germany is 3.5 advantage over Bangladesh. So they already won the match, even
So
though
basically
they
it's
lost the
over.
opponent. Yeah.
And we see Australia. Australia is beating Belgium by 4-0. Amazing. It's really amazing. While there is a very tough and tight mate between Belarus and Bulgaria, maybe let's take a look at some games from this match. It's 1.5, 1.5 at the moment.
Mhm. Yeah, I've got here a game between Turkmenistan and Indonesia. The results sometimes take some time to get updated, so the results might already be over. But I'll take a look. Let's see if this game is won. Belarus versus Bulgaria. Let's see, is that a tight match? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is this
Um,
one.
it seems that white is winning.
Vladislav Kovalov is likely winning versus Alex Delchev.
Mhm.
A game between two strong grandmasters.
Yep, very strong grandmaster. I think that Kovalev is actually also, isn't he second of Mamedyarov, if I'm not mistaken? I'm not 100%
I'm
sure.
not sure.
I think Mamadjarov actually called him one of the proteges of, well, not proteges, but yeah, maybe a future world champion. I think that Mamadjarov
Oh,
was
wow.
on a nice night at the European Club Cup. Yeah. All right, so let's see. We've got here a win for Kovalev, and this is another game that's been going on. Alexandrov versus Tsvetan Stoyanov. Um, Two strong grandmasters. No, it's one grandmaster with black and the FIDE master with white.
It seems like
Yeah,
the FIDE master is going to upset a grandmaster.
with a win or draw.
With a win, I believe white is winning this position.
All right.
Because I don't see how to stop the f pawn, let's say g2, king g7, and just f7, f8.
Okay, I'll just put a move on the board, f7. And notice that the rook is behind the pawns, everybody. So if rook f2 happens, f8 queen, rook takes, king takes, and the rook can take the pawn off the board on the next move. So yeah, I agree. I think this is winning for white. Let's see if it's actually going to be the big upset. Also, we're closing in on time trouble, so and there are not a lot of games left. Actually, I think. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. He's hoping for a mouse slip. That
Okay.
F7 move
Not,
is
not for the mouse but for the primo. It's another story.
time. Okay, it's black, white one. Okay, that's always so stressful to look at. You hate to
When
see
you
people
started
lose
talking
on
about
time.
time to time, I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, I was like time, but he didn't have a connection problem or anything. But okay, black was simply lost. He lost. Yeah, he just let the time run out, I think. But sometimes there were cases in the previous weekends where we actually had like these big upsets where people lost connection or something, or they forgot the time and they lost in the winning position. It was horrible, but
Oh no,
yeah,
yeah, that's very upsetting.
yeah.
Luckily, we will not see so many games of this kind today.
Let's hope not. Yeah. All right. This is one of the last games I believe that's still going on. So we've got Turkmenistan versus Indonesia, Susanto Megranto versus Yusuf Atabayev. Um, Winning for black.
I'm really surprised that, I mean, by the rating of Susanto Magranto, I think he's a grandmaster, but 1,100. Oh, well, it's a
Yeah.
clear draw on the board. So I believe the
So
players will agree to draw soon.
yeah, I think so too. By the way, Anna, so why is his rating so low? Can you explain that to the viewers?
Sorry, what was the question?
So why is the grandmaster from Indonesia? Why does he have such a low rating? Why is that? Can you explain that to the viewers?
I have no idea. Maybe he just registered to the to Chess.com, and I don't know what is the first rating you get when you don't put your title and so
Yeah.
on.
I think you start. Well, I started. I had a separate account, and I think I started also with 1,000 or something.
Maybe
So
this is the reason because yeah, I
yeah,
started immediately with 2,400, but I pointed I am a grandmaster.
yeah,
So they thought,
same
okay, if you
here.
are a grandmaster, you are verified. So yeah, you don't start from 1,000. So we will not make you suffer with that.
Yeah, but you do have to apply for that to get that. So that is the reason why the ratings might be low, everyone. These are not, once again, not the official feeder ratings. These are the chess.com ratings. So keep that in mind. But yeah,
Through
yeah,
the
this is the
last
last.
game in this pool, maybe let's just quickly mention how the matches were finished. Philippines crushed Kyrgyzstan by 6-0. The same for Australia, beating Belgium with 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
Germany won 4.5 to 1.5 against Bangladesh.
Mm-hmm.
Bulgaria won versus Belarus, but with a very small margin, 3.5 to 2.5, as
That
you can
match.
see.
Mhm.
Indonesia already won the match. Well, still one game in progress, but it's already 4-1 for Indonesia, who is playing versus Turkmenistan. And yeah, Germany beat Bangladesh, as we mentioned before.
Yeah.
So this was
So
about Pool A.
Yeah, let's show the standings, everyone. Those are updated as well. So we've got now the standings after round one. The Philippines with the biggest score, together with Australia and Germany, Indonesia, and Bulgaria. They won their matches. And with only one game to go, yeah, these are all the results so far. Okay, so that means actually that we are going to, oh, actually the game finished in a draw. So that means a half board point more than you see now in the standings. But guys, everybody, we're gonna go on a short break. We are going to be back in a few minutes, and in a few minutes we will be back with round two of Pool A. Don't go anywhere. Stretch your legs, grab some food or drinks or whatever you like to do, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. And we are back. Welcome back, everyone, to another day of the Online Olympiad 2020. I'm once again Roland, and I'm here with Anna still. Of course, what do you think about the first round that we've seen today, Anna? Some first general thoughts?
Welcome everyone. Hello, all the new viewers and who is still keeping on watching us from the very beginning. I am a Grandmaster Anna Muzituk today here with Grandmaster Roland Pruisers, and I hope you are enjoying our commentaries. We are commentating on Pool A from Division 2, and we have seen some really amazing matches. The first, how many matches did we cover? Six, yes? First
Uh,
six.
yeah, the first five matches of the
Five.
round one of Division of Pool A in Division 2, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
you'll have five more matches from Division A. Or no, no,
Yeah.
we are going to, yeah, for Pool B,
Pool
right?
A, Pool A Division 2. It's kind of hard, everybody. We're going to remind everyone. So here is actually the schedule that can maybe give you more of an insight. We are now, as you can see, in Division 2. That will be what we are going to broadcast in this weekend, and in the next weekend will be the top division. And that's actually the division that the teams now can qualify for. So the top three teams in the standings, the final standings of Division 2, qualify for the top division for next weekend. So there you go. A lot of good chess to look forward to. We've got also some, the schedule of, oh yeah, the top division and the playoffs. Sorry, I got a bit confused which card we were actually showing there, but there you go. The top division schedule, August 21st, August 22nd, and the 23rd. That would be next weekend. And actually, yeah, this is what I wanted. I wanted to show you guys some of the top players that are actually participating in this event. So for example, for China, participating in the top division, we've got Ding Liren, and also for the Netherlands, which we will see later today, we've got Anish Giri participating and some other big names, of course, Ion Nepomniachtchi, Wesley So, Levon Aronian, Alexander Grishuk, Temur Rajabov, Mamedyarov or Mamed, Anand, of course, and Duda, for example. Some top players participating, not only men, of course, we've also got women top players. Let's take a look. We've
Yeah, we
got
have many of them. We have Hui Fine, the strongest female player. We have Zhou Enjun, women's world champion. We have Katerina Lagno, Alexandra Goryachkina from Russia. We have Hampi Konoru and Harika Durnovali playing for India. We have Nana Zagnidze from Georgia. Lots of top players, and I would like to thank, because right before we went for a break, we got a huge rate from I am Eric Rosen. Thank you so much for rating our channel with a party of more than 1,000 viewers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for Eric Rosen, of course, big streamer. And yeah, everybody do give him a follow. He's making some great content for everybody on Twitch here. So yeah, thank you once again for the raid and welcome everybody, like Anna said, to this stream. All right, let's move on. We've got the standings so far of Pool A. So 1 hour, round one just finished. And as you can see, 5 countries in the lead at the moment: Philippines, Australia, Indonesia, Germany, and Bulgaria. And these are going to be the matches in round two, everybody.
All
Yeah,
right, we
as you
saw
guys can
two
see.
matches which ended in a result of 6-0. So it was a good first match for the Philippines. Yes, and yeah, Germany, as we mentioned, is the highest rated team, but to qualify to the top division is not an easy task. So, are you ready for the new games, Roland?
Yeah, the games have started. The games are dropping in. Not all the games have started. Sometimes they start a little late with online chess. That could become a problem, but let me see if we can actually find it. So yeah, a few games have started. Let's see. So Australia versus Kyrgyzstan, they have already started their games. Okay, so let's focus on them for now. This is board one. What do you think of this a6 move and the knight c3? I think that's called the Yobava London system, isn't it?
Yes, I can also mention that with this system, Goryachkina won the last game of the World Championship match between Goryachkina and Zhu Wenjun, and she managed to win in the must-win situation with exactly the same line: Bishop f4, Knight c3, a6 was played in order not to allow Knight b5, so it's a good move. Another opportunity was to play c6, but by starting with a6, black has the idea of playing c5 later on, so that's
Mhm.
why they preferred a6 over c6. And
Mhm.
no, bishop b4 was played, but this was a reaction to a very active g4.
Yeah,
And
this is going to be a wild game, it seems. Knight g2, I was really surprised to see that because the knight is attacking g4. But after rook g1, white was going to have some attacking ideas like this. Well, this is going to be a lot of fun to cover, I think. Yeah. So,
I really like this game too. And yes, Australia won the first match with 6-0, so they are leading, one of the
mhm,
co-leaders at the moment.
absolutely. Let me see if I can find some more games. Yeah, I think all the games are dropping in. Is there a particular match that you would like to see, Anna, that you're maybe interested in?
I'm interested in every match because I don't think there are some, more important, less important. It's Olympiad. It's Olympiad where where 163 teams are participating. So it's more than 1,500 players involved. And I believe we should try to cover all the teams because, it's not
Right.
like every time the players from some of the teams has the right to be online, and I believe it would be nice if we take a look at the
Everything. All
games
right,
from this.
then my strategy of finding the games will be what is an interesting position to look at. So here we've got an interesting position. First, between okay, once again Germany, but okay, it's an interesting position. Let's see. So Dennis Wagner, board one, playing against for Germany, playing against the number one board from Turkmenistan, Mr. Yusuf Atabayev. Who's better and why?
Who is better? It's such a crazy position. How did it start? I don't know.
Yeah, let's
It's
take a
some
look.
crazy line.
Okay, knight f3. This is called the Max Lange attack, I believe. Queen
Oh,
b3 here.
bishop
Enough to
g4,
take it.
queen b3, attacking on f7. Now the pawn on f7 was finally taken. For this, black decided to spoil white's structure and to weaken the king. So d takes f3 is a must. Now d takes c3, and some knight e5 ideas in the air. Who is better? Nobody knows, right?
Nobody knows. It's just we're at the beginning of a, how do you say, a exchange continuation here, I believe. So we have to wait until the dust is cleared, and then we can finally make an evaluation. So far, I think white's doing actually pretty okay. I think knight takes c3, and black still has troubles getting the king on f8 somewhere safe. But that's just my guess. Like you said, it's a messy game, so we still don't really have an idea what's going on. Yeah,
Right,
which
but the
which color
players are
would you
playing
choose?
very quickly, so maybe they are familiar with this theoretical line.
Yeah,
Both of them, what's quite
might very
surprising.
well be true. Okay, so let me find in the meantime another interesting position, perhaps. Okay, what's this? Another Germany game. Okay, nice. We are covering Germany, and we said that we would cover every country. Okay.
Jana Schneider, we see
Yep,
the new player in the team, or didn't we cover her game in the previous session? I think she's a new player.
I think so too.
She's also, yeah, a young player from Germany, and she's playing a very sharp line in the Caracan, starting with force move h4. I did play this line a couple of times myself, so I'm familiar with the line. Yeah, and h6, g4, it's a crazy line. Now f3 and e6 is coming. Yeah, this move.
Sacrifice. Yes.
Pawn sacrifice, but black doesn't take the pawn because if they take the pawn, the f8 bishop will be a bit sad. So it's difficult to develop it, but f takes e6 is a possible move. There is
Hmm.
theory after that. While queen d6 is more popular, e takes f7, king f7, f4, not allowing e5. And as you can see, white has already made 9 moves with the pawns, just with the pawns.
That's so true. Yeah.
But for this, they have more space and they have a good e5 square, which is perfect for the knight. I mean, knight f3, knight e5 is coming. Also, the king on f7 is not so safe. So yeah, it's a very double-edged game.
All right, let's see what happened in the game. So we've got e6, knight f3, knight d7, not allowing a knight on e5 for the moment. Okay, yeah, what white plays it anyway. So king e8, so actually the knight is on e5, so the knight is allowed there. Okay, scratch my remark there. All right, bishop d3, takes, threatening queen g6, black played. Knight takes e5 now, f takes, okay, a check, and this is
Difficult.
the game, and this is the current position.
But if you just play c3 or knight c3 and then queen g6 is coming, I prefer this position for white.
Yeah, I agree. So I totally agree there. The reason is white still has more space. Let's say you play a move like c3, like you said. I think queen e7 has to be played because, well, you could go to c4, for example, trying to trade queens, but then after queen g6, this check is really annoying, isn't it? And then
That's true,
knight
but
e7.
please pay attention that the king is on e8, but the king can't castle as it was already on f7 a few moves ago. That's important.
Oh, that's very good. That's actually something I didn't notice. Black cannot actually not castle because the king moved backwards like this. Yeah, so yeah, I think you're right. I think white's just slightly better. The rook can come to f1, put some pressure on the f file, while black will struggle finding some good places for the pieces, I believe.
Yeah,
So
especially after queen e7. I believe queen e7 is the best move, so that to meet queen g6 with king f7. But we are not obliged to go queen g6. We can play something like knight d2, knight followed by knight f3, just develop the pieces and
just
then...
developing, black cannot castle like we said. Well, actually, we can castle like this. Just going to show it, but it takes a lot of time like this. Yeah,
But maybe it's the best idea. So
maybe it is.
it's
Yeah.
well pointed.
But black is still having trouble with the pieces. This is what you call a space advantage because you have more pawns that are further pushed. Black will have trouble finding good squares for the pieces. So, for example, knight f6 will not be possible. And, well, if you play knight e7, then the bishop on f8 is having trouble finding a good square. So, I think the white is doing really, really well here. And I say, let's move on to another game. Let's see if we can
And
find
we have the
something.
first result, right?
Yeah, we
Between
do. We have.
Verle. Ah, no, it's not Verle, it's Vare. Vare de Weile. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Vare de Wale, a Belgian player, the youth board, I think, board 5, playing against the Bulgarian player here. Well, it's a very symmetrical position, so I understand why they took a draw here. I think black just offered a draw. That's all. Right, first result, a draw. We've got another result right here, the classical bishop e4 drawing maneuver, I believe. Yeah, this you've seen very often, though, didn't you?
This, yeah, indeed.
Right, so another result there. I'm gonna click those away so that it's more easy for me. Okay, I'm gonna find something nice. Let's see. Nope, no Russian games, please. No Russian. I mean the opening, the Petrov opening.
Petrov.
Yeah, let's see. What's interesting? No huge positions yet.
Maybe something from the chat. Maybe chat is following some interesting game which you would like us to cover too. So just drop a comment in
Yeah,
the in the
chat.
in the chat list, yeah, so that we can see it. Oh, queen g4. Wow, Roland, you're really very good with finding beautiful games. And here we are with queen g4.
Yeah, Queen
Nice,
g4
nice position.
attacking the bishop and g7. Yeah, this is just winning a lot of material. Well, not really. Like if you play bishop a5, you have to protect the bishop, obviously. So let's say bishop goes somewhere. I'm putting it here. Then take here, I suppose. Rook g8, and actually queen takes e5 looks very good. Yeah.
But you know, it's much more popular if we get this position from the Sicilian. Maybe we can quickly show it. How does it come? E4, c5, knight f3, knight c6. Bishop b5. Let's say e6, knight c3, knight d4, knight takes d4, c takes d4, knight e2, and queen g5.
The same trick, a very
Same
common.
trick, right?
Yeah, nice, 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 nice. Yeah, that's why
Your
usually they
back.
don't take here, but they play short castle, I believe. And yeah,
No, in
very
that position, it's not so clear because there is some knight d4, queen g2, queen f3, or something of this kind. Or maybe I'm mixing something because after knight d4, there's queen c5. Anyway, yeah, this is the same trick. Just, yeah, please be careful with such a moves like queen g5 when your bishop is on b5, or queen g4 when your bishop is on b4, and when your pawn on g7 is unprotected, as we see in this position. So don't miss these things in your own games.
yeah. Now you've seen this, you guys will never make that mistake again. Okay, we promise. Promise. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, good joke, Roland. Okay, here we go. Queen g4, the bishop has to go. Queen takes g7, like we said, and white's just having a field day. At least for now, it seems. Okay, this is an interesting pawn structure. I'm just clicking through the games. We've got here a player from Turkmenistan, once again versus Germany. Germany is playing very interesting openings and not doing that on purpose, everybody. But yeah, Louis Engel, once again, do you know this opening actually? Do you
Yeah, it's
recognize it?
Catalan and it's still the theoretical line.
Yeah, a
So
famous line, I believe, that here after bishop c6, knight c3, black takes on f3, takes on f3, put the knight on c6, so no problem, bishop anymore on c8. And after taking, this is how we get the beautiful pawn structure on the c file, which is supposed to be more or less okay for black. But I've played this opening against Luc van Wely at some point, the famous Dutch grandmaster, and I was very happy that I made a draw in this line with black. But on the other hand, I think that you do need to know one or two moves here to make it a draw. I actually forgot what was the best continuation for black, and I got worse, and Luke van Wely could have pressured me on in the end game. So yeah, it's a very theoretically interesting position. I mean, I love it when you got three pawns on one file. I mean, that's just amazing. That's awesome. But I mean, it's yeah, you have a pawn up here, but yeah, white of course has a lot of compensation in return.
yeah, that's true. Also, the b2 pawn is potentially a weakness. And we have got two requests in the chat. One is to cover a game from Australian team, or another request is to cover Indonesia versus the Philippines because they are the only two winners from the last round. So
All
makes
right,
sense.
that's a good
Thanks.
idea. Let me see if I can find
Thanks for
them.
your comments.
Australia versus Kyrgyzstan. That was a request, right?
Australia versus Kyrgyzstan. Oh my God, Rook G4. I think people who are watching my video, which I covered when I covered the game between Yanni Pomnishi and Magnus Carlsen, where he crushed the world champion by playing this Rook G4 idea. It's not the same position, so I'm not sure it's so effective in this position, but I'm glad that people are following the top players' games and they are trying to use the ideas in their own games. That's really cool.
Mm. Yeah, so this is a really, well, to be honest, a weird position for Rook on G4. But yeah, I mean, white sacrifice the pawn, Rook G4, you don't see very often. It's amazing. But after Bishop B7, for example, white does have some developmental lead here. The rook is already out, the knight's already out. The pawn on G5 gives white some space. So white does have good compensation in this position, I would say.
Yes, if
By the
you
way,
go to a4, just one move back, I would just say that Magnus in his game, he didn't play before, while I think before is the best move in that position. So a nice improvement by Temur Kuibokaro.
yeah, well, that was a good one. That was a good
Yeah.
pronunciation. Okay, so after b4, rook g4, well, yeah, this is how popular games of like not popular, but of course the best players in the world are always more or less copied because it's just yeah, of course, they're playing the best moves and playing with the best creative ideas. So yeah, Rook G4, D5 played. I don't know. Would you are you more of a pawn grabber and or are you more of a compensation kind of person?
Mm, I think it's better to be well prepared because if you're sacrificing the pawn, you really have to know what you do next. You
Hmm?
can't just sacrifice and then think because it's very committal. But the I see the player from white side. He has already spent quite a lot of time, so maybe he doesn't actually know the line and he's not sure how to continue.
Uh-huh.
In this case, I would prefer black's position because you are pawn up.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think that white is struggling to find a compensation here. Black is very solid, no weaknesses, and the king has not really got a safe square to go to. But actually, I've got a funny position for you, Anna. What is going on here? White won.
Funny one. You found one more. Oh, 95. What a trick. What a nice trick. Yes.
Oops.
Black can't take on d5 because of the mate on h7. Very unfortunate game for Shahnazi Musayeva. But yes, I hope that after this game, she will know this trick forever.
Mm-hmm. And now our viewers know it too. So everybody, promise you'll never fall for this trick, okay?
Yeah, that's
I
the
made this
black.
joke before. I should really stop doing that. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can find another interesting game. So the other one was the Philippines versus Indonesia. Let me see if I can find a game between those. Yeah, this is one. Draw results. I think this might be no, it's not. I think this is board one or two. Yeah, and it was a
Oh,
draw.
this
Yeah,
is a very
just one or
solid
two.
position. White
Yeah.
is slightly better thanks to the two pair bishop advantage.
Mhm.
They should try to push f4, e5, but not immediately. Be careful because black may get some counterplay by playing bishop b6. Yes, and then bring the knight to d4. It's not so easy.
Yeah, let's see how it actually occurred. I think it was just a draw offer and it was taken by Mark Paragua of the Philippines. So, and once again, guys, you can see the rating on behind the names. That is not their official ratings. I mean, grandmasters usually have higher rating than 1469. Uh, yeah, these are chess.com ratings, everybody, and a lot of players just made a new account, and that's why their rating is a bit low there. So, if you want to see their actual rapid ratings, then we can show you a link with chess results. Check it out there. There you can see the how strong everybody is in rating. Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Mhm.
Let's see if we can find something else in this match. So this is, I think, board. This looks like board two. And your first thoughts, Anna?
Board two, Philippines versus Indonesia. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, what a game! 91. It's close to Chilean line, and 91 is a typical plan.
Right.
Played with the idea to push c3 and to kick out the knight from d4, which is a very active piece.
Mhm.
While later on, the knight from d1 may move to e3 or something of this kind. Uh, it's not a bad move, but you have to be careful when you're playing in such a way because you're putting your pieces back and maybe there are some strikes in the center. So
Yeah.
d5 just maybe a logical idea.
Yeah. You're right. By the way, if Black plays short castle, for example, would you play knight c1 here?
Ah, another one, yeah, knight c1 and then c3. I'm not sure it's so good in this particular position, but this idea definitely exists and people should know about it. You just move the knight to c1 because you want to keep more pieces on the board. As with the f4, it's obvious that white is trying to attack. And if you're on the attacking side, you prefer to have more minor pieces. That's why white is aiming to keep the knights on the board. Later on, play c3, knight e2 back, knight e3, and then developing the attack in this way. But once again, please be very careful because if you put all the pieces back, then you may face something like f5 or d5, and you will be crushed you may be crushed, not like you will be
You
crushed,
may
because
very
sometimes
well.
it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you have to calculate the lines precisely before
Yep,
playing this way.
absolutely. And actually, everybody that counts for every position always calculate things correctly. And then we can,
Sorry. Also, please be careful with bishop h3 tricks. Just, I'm not sure it's
yeah,
working, but please
mhm,
pay attention to that because knight f3 is in the air.
yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah, a lot of good ideas. So, what do you think? I think that my personal preference goes out to black because you can play d5. The king is still in the center of white. Your castle. I'm not sure that the short castle was played actually. Let's see. Yeah, we've got a few more things on the board. Knight moves, not things, moves everybody. Knight takes e2, queen takes e2, h4 on the board, aiming to disrupt the pawn structure on the king side. F takes e5, h takes g3, bishop takes, d takes. And yeah, we had some exchanges.
Also, bishop takes e5 was quite reasonable because white has some problems over the dark squares. So if we trade these bishops, let's say a bishop e5, d takes e5, I think it was maybe even better for black, yeah, to get rid of these bishops, because when we keep the bishops on the board, the bishop on g3 is kind of more active than the bishop on g7. That's why I propose
That's
bishop
true.
taking f5 first.
It's also interesting to keep the bishop on the board because it could be maybe a potential target to gain some space. But it's definitely a good point that you can take with the bishop as well, obviously, because then the dark squares are weakened, like Anna said. Yeah, yeah, it's I think both ideas are pretty good. I think it's just a matter of taste, in my opinion. But let's see. D takes knight f2. Yeah, wait, knight f2. The evaluation bar is dropping enormously down for some reason.
Maybe the computer didn't like knight f2 because in fact knight on f2 is very passive if it doesn't go to g4, but even if it comes to g4, it's well,
Just f5 seems like
yeah, just it will be f5.
that
I'm
sounds
not sure. It takes f5 and then knight e5, but in general, knight should have gone to e3 or c3, aiming for d5 or c4, in my opinion.
yeah. So I figured out how to make green square. So there you go. D5 good square, f2 bad square. That's more or less it. You would want to put a knight on d5 and not to put it on f2. The reason was I think that h3 is now protected.
Yeah, but
Um,
just imagine black will play f5 after knight f2. I mean knight c6, c3, and then f5 at some moment, maybe not immediately, but after f5, the knight from f2 simply has no moves.
yeah,
That's
you're
why
right.
I was just mentioning that knight on f2 is a passive piece.
Yeah,
And
so
we have one more
definitely not.
result.
Yeah, we do. Wait, no, doesn't seem like it because this result we've already covered. Um, yeah, so I
So
don't see another result. Maybe I'm
yeah,
blind.
I meant this game. Maybe the players actually agreed for a draw because I don't see. I mean, I see that time is not running, so maybe it
Yeah,
was a draw.
we've covered this. This was indeed a draw, and just by um, asking and agreeing. Yeah, asking for a draw and agreeing to a draw. Yeah, that's what happened. All right. Let's see. Let's see if we can find another game. So once again, Philippines versus Singapore versus not Singapore, but Indonesia. Yep. Oh, this looks winning for white, doesn't it?
Wow, wow, yeah, it's crushing. Look at this queen on f6 and rook on e5. Rook is coming to g5 or to h5, and then the mate on h8. Doesn't look good for black.
Yeah, looks over. This looks winning for the Philippines. Let me find some. Whoa, wait, did white just miss? Ah, okay, king f8 was still possible.
No, just rook g1, king f8, and queen h8 my mate.
Yeah, exactamo. All right, this one is over. Let's move on to the next game. Okay, this one might be interesting. A lot of pieces on the board, tension in the air.
Oh,
Yeah,
about this position, we can speak for hours. You know, we can just speak about this position and nothing else because it's a very complicated one with, yeah, lots of plans, very strategical position. We can start speaking if d5 was a good move or not, or white should have kept the tension for a longer time. h5 was played. Yes, if black goes with g5 now, they will weaken the f5 square. If not, there may be some problems. But I would prefer to keep the pawn on g6 if I played with black.
Well,
But
we don't have the time to speak hours on a position like this, so let's move on to another one, shall we? Okay, let's move on to this one. Let's move on to this one. Okay, we've got once again a female board. This might be the youth board. I'm not 100% sure, but could very well be. White, who's better and why? What's your first thoughts?
hmm, that's an interesting structure, but it's also the position is very strategical. I believe it's close to equal unless there is some bishop g5 posing the problem. But I think after bishop g5, black will simply go f6, so it's nothing serious.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think it's about equal. There will be some trades on e4, then over the d file. That's what I am expecting.
All right. Yeah, I also think it's about equal. White has one weakness on the board, which is the d3 pawn. I think I prefer black slightly because of this d pawn. This could be a long run target, I think, but like you said, it's really not that much. One target is not enough to make a big difference in the game. But still, I think white's a little unpleasant because you don't really ever have to take on e4. And like you said, if you take on e4, then d takes e4, and suddenly the weakness on d3 is gone. So if black does not take on e4, I think black is just slightly better in the position.
Well, the knight on e4 is a strong piece for white, and there are some ideas like h5, h6. Yeah, and just one weakness on d3. Um, so it's
Yeah,
very
maybe
difficult to
f5
white.
at some point, or
f5, yeah,
f6.
maybe the move and trade the knights, trade the lights for bishops. Okay, this will be a long game unless the players agree for a draw.
Okay. Ah, yeah,
Because
let's take a look at this one. This is a teammate of mine actually playing for Belgium. Castrio Memeti, we are teammates for the Belgium League. So,
oh,
can you assure me that he's doing fine, or do I have to worry about my friend?
uh, I'm not sure about the position. It's a bit complicated. I think he's doing okay. But there are some
Ah,
threats, and you see that black is playing very actively.
mhm.
So it's a bit unclear. I think white has a bishop pair advantage, and they just need to stabilize the position to be
I
better.
agree. How would you stabilize the position here?
How would I stabilize the position? Uh, I would like to trade the queens, but I don't see the way to do it. Maybe just to play. I'm not sure I would like to play c3 because, yes, this will move the bishop away. On the other hand, yeah, c3 will be the target because of b5 and b4 will come next. Maybe just something like bishop g2, developing the bishop. I hope I am not blundering anything, or
Nope.
something like retreating the bishop to c1 can be also an option. Yeah, to
Maybe
feel.
then start pushing on the king side.
Yeah, starting pushing or knight g3, trying to trade the knights because the knight on e4 is an unpleasant piece
Okay,
for
okay.
white.
Let's say you do this. I'm just wondering. I'm not sure if this is good, but what about knight
Knight
c3?
c3, yes, that's why I wanted to play bishop c1 first.
Yeah,
not not sure it was helping. Yeah, but it's a very nice trick. B takes c3, bishop c3, and yeah, no defense. No defense,
okay.
guys. Be
No
careful with
defense. Yep,
such ideas.
no defense. Sometimes it's just not, well, you do have a defense, but it's not a nice one. Yeah, you don't want to give up the queen, of course. All right, so yeah, that is why bishop c1 is a good preventive measure, because if you do this and let's say black castles and you play now knight g3, knight c3 is a bit less strong because there's already a bishop on c1, but still
Bishop
this might
b2
be
does.
very dangerous still. I guess a3 is okay, but
I thought about bishop b2, but yeah, maybe you're right about
you're
a3.
right. Queen b4 is not possible because you take the bishop, obviously. But yeah, yeah, that's why bishop c1 is a good move. I hope that my friend will not fall for that trick. Please don't play knight g3. Okay, c3
He did
played.
play c3.
Bishop e3 and knight c1. All right, that's a move I did not expect.
It's not bad. Now knight b3 is coming, bishop d3 is coming. So
Yeah,
maybe
maybe
your
after
teammate
e4,
found a
just
nice plan.
yeah, maybe the knight is okay placed here. Maybe you can make use of c5. I'm not too sure. It's a really complicated position still. White wants to push, black wants to push. It's not so easy to do so for both colors, I think. If you play b4, white can play c4 perhaps to keep everything closed. But then there are always tricks in the air like knight c3 at some
Oh,
point.
I
So,
see knight c3 is your favorite trick.
yeah, it's
You found
something
it 2 times in this position.
I like it. It's a good move. Well, not always, of course, but it makes sense to try and open positions like that, yeah? Or am I just a fanboy of knight c3? I don't know. We'll see. We're still in the beginning of this game here. It should still unfold. So let's see if I can find actually another game. This is the last board of Belgium.
Oh, some results.
Yeah, some results. This looks like a fun
Wow.
game.
Germany won some crushing game. Filiz Osmanoja won versus Bahar Halaeva.
Mm, this is so
How did
sad.
it happen? How did it happen? Win in
Yeah,
20 minutes.
I was going to tell you because this was actually on
Berlin in
Berlin. Yeah,
Berlin?
I was trying to avoid openings like this when selecting games, but this was a lot of fun.
Wow. Wow.
97 check,
97, bishop g5. Wow. And then some
f6,
sacrifice on this.
boom. Just blow open the whole position. Very nice game, by the way.
Wow, what a
Still is.
sleek game from white side.
Yeah, Germans are giving us a lot of entertaining games. I'll try to find a new interesting game. Rook ending? Nah, not yet.
A rook ending. Let's go for the rook ending. Let's speak
Are you
about the
sure?
rook ending.
Yeah, you sure?
I didn't see the game, so
Here you go.
okay, this rook endgame is not a good rook endgame for white, especially considering that the h pawns are still on the board. Because if they were not, if it wasn't about the h pawns, it would be an easy draw. But with the h pawns, I believe black has very good chances to win this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I saw a study actually where black had to be very precise in endgames like this to win. But like you said, for example, one idea is I'm just going to make some moves. A1, rook takes, f6, and you can just play rook f1, I believe, and you should be more or less winning. The king is coming over, and this pawn cannot move anymore. If the king was on the other side, then white could try and move the king, but the king is also quite close, just a few moves away,
Yes,
and I think that black should.
h4 and some ideas, some hopes for the h file, but I think white is not on time. Like h4, king c3, king h6.
I guess I have to take.
Are you
I don't
sure?
have to actually. I can also
Maybe
play.
the yeah, run with the king,
Yeah,
king d4, king h7, king e5, and the king is too close. h5, king f6, h6, and rook h1.
and
That's
it's
it.
made. This is how it's gonna go, everybody. Yeah, 100% sure. Let's see. Yeah, but I agree totally. And if white is gonna try and push this pawn too far, then black can try and attack the h pawn, then gives the pawn, and this pawn can run. Okay, a lot of explanation, but in general, guys, I think that black is very close to winning here. Yeah. All right, interesting rook ending, always fun. Let's see. This looks like a lot of fun, but no, it's already over. Never mind. All right, let's move on. What is this? Okay,
But
let's see.
in that game, Germany lost, yes? So the score is equal?
Let's
Or
this one. Yeah, Germany got a beat down in this position. This looks
mhm.
like total domination. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, King G7. I guess knight takes here. I guess it should be over here. Actually, also look at the time difference. This was not a happy game for Miss Lara Schulze. All right, let's move on. I found an interesting game. Let's see. This is what is it? Belarus versus Bangladesh. What do you think?
Oh, Alexander Tarasenko sacrificed 2 pawns but she has a very strong attack. What about taking on g6 and rook e7 now?
That was a good point. Both players are down on time actually, so let's follow the game. Let's see what's going to happen in time trouble here. Rook f7, solid move. Rook e7 is usually the idea here. Bishop
But queen f6.
d5, but bishop
Yeah,
c6.
bishop d6, bishop d5. Oh,
What
queen
is?
f2.
Why?
But there is no
Oh,
pattern check because, but
yeah.
bishop
Oh,
f7, bishop c6.
what's going on here? This is rook f1. Yeah, white could have taken here. There's no bishop c6 because you have bishop d5 back, right?
But the rook on e1 was hanging,
Oh, but the
no?
rook on e1 was hanging. Okay.
It's a bit complicated.
Maybe rook e7 then. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, but bishop c6? No, bishop c6, then she had bishop d5. Maybe she didn't
This is
have
so
because there was bishop
confusing.
d5 and queen e4.
Yeah, probably.
Rook,
Oh, no, 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 no.
queen
That
d4,
was. Oh my
and
God.
rook b6, rook b1 is coming.
This is.
A win for black.
Oh boy, oh boy. That was such
Yeah.
a weird game. Let's see. No, no,
Oh,
it's
it's
me.
a
Yeah,
mate.
yeah. Nicely done by
Well,
black.
I think it was like, a roller coaster game. When
Yeah,
white was winning, then
definitely.
black was winning. Then
Isn't rook
I think rook
e7?
e7 looks winning. Yes,
Yeah, if you
white is
take, you
first.
win the piece. The bishop is very good on d5. Yeah, you cannot take here, everybody, because then after bishop c6, like Anna immediately pointed out, you've got bishop d5, the king is mated, otherwise takes, and the rook is taken, and actually you're gonna lose another rook like this.
Yeah,
So yeah,
true.
well, very interesting game. I want to find another roller coaster game like this. This was fun. Let's see.
I think
So
any
this
game is
one,
a roller coaster now because players are down to less than a minute
yeah.
in every game.
So interesting knight ending. Knight, what am I saying? Knight versus bishop ending. Um, wow, this is hard to judge. Um, I think it's equal, yeah. I mean, the knight's going. Oh, okay, it's a. If this is going to be a repetition, then we can immediately move on. Board one or two, it seems. Board two, it seems. Kirill Stupak, once again, he's not a grandmaster with a 734 rating, everybody. He's a grandmaster with about 2580 rating, I believe. Don't take these Chess.com ratings as the guiding line of how strong these people are. Yeah, these are Chess.com ratings, so keep that in mind. All right, what do you think about the position, Anna?
About some other games,
Yeah, also, your wish is my command, so let's go. Well, this looks
so
very uninteresting. Okay,
we
let's
don't
see.
have scores updated, so we don't know which match is the most intense.
Interesting
Yeah, this one
pawn
is the
ending,
win for
perhaps.
white.
Who's winning and why?
Philippines versus Indonesia, it's 1.5 to 1.5 at the moment.
All right. Yeah, this is over. Okay, let's go. We've got here Turkmenistan versus Germany. Wow, we're checking every German game for some reason. Okay.
Germany is trying to save this game. I believe they will succeed because not so many pawns are left on the board. Rook
Yep.
a6 coming, attacking the a5 pawn.
Yeah, I know that Friedman is a some sort of a endgame expert as well. I'm 100% sure that he's going to draw this. Yep. Rook a6, like you said already, wins this pawn. No real time trouble for either players. Maybe f6, nice trick. Rook takes, rook h5 wins the rook. But just, what would you play? e5, yeah. Looks good. Looks like an easy draw. To me, f takes, even rook takes should be a draw. But
Yeah, but
probably
also
king
king
takes
e5
e5
is
is
draw.
easier.
Yeah, and then running with the king towards the a pawn.
Yep, and they
But
draw.
that's it.
Well, he's trying. I like how he's trying. Please take my pawn. But then, of course, rook h5 would win the rook. So, yeah, you never know. Mouse slips are still in the air. I'm checking if there are still some games left. We got another rook ending here between the Philippines and uh, Indonesia, one of the teams that have a 100% score so far after round one.
This one will likely finish.
Yeah, simply a
Draw.
draw. Not
Yeah,
that
black will
interesting.
black will give the rook for the c pawn, while
Yeah,
black will also run with the h pawn, and white will have to give the rook for that pawn.
yeah, I totally
That's
agree there.
it.
Okay, I have my friend is still playing, it seems. Yeah,
But
let's see what. Wow, they're taking their time.
this is the position.
This is the
So
position. This is actually the
they made
position.
only 5 moves. Wow.
Seems like it. Yeah, I guess they both wanted to be very firm, very sure about the opening position. Yeah, and actually, some of the games might also have started a bit late. Everybody, sometimes there are some issues, and then one of the matches starts later than the other games, so that's why they've got still some more time on the board. Let's see. I think this is the last game, so yeah, we're gonna stick to this one. They are going to get full coverage from the Grandmaster commentator duo from Ukraine and the Netherlands. So Anna, your first take.
f4 was played. I prefer white's position because of the space advantage, and because there are just more opportunities for white, like bringing the knight to e5 or pushing f5 in some moment. But also, when you have less than 1 minute and you have to think over all these possibilities, it's a bit tricky because you may spend a lot of time, while playing with black is maybe easier. I don't know.
Yeah.
That
By
depends.
the way, just a quick reminder to everybody what the time control is. We've got here a nice card with the format for everybody. So we've got, if you take a look at the time control is 15 minutes and 5 second increment per move starting from move one. And yeah, also a quick reminder of the format about what the uh, preliminary rounds are, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final. This is actually stage two, and that will actually happen after the top division. So that will mean next week with the top division, they will decide which teams will go to stage two, the playoffs. And yeah, that is where the medals and all the prizes will be divided. All right, but let's move back to the game. Time control is starting to uh, run down, and with the black player having about 1 minute more than his opponent. Yeah, but white is very solid, slightly better, like you said. And how important is it that the bishops are opposite colored?
I think it's well. Usually it's very important, but it's dependent on the position. This position is blocked, so we can't say which bishop is actually better. But black skin is more exposed. So in case black will develop the attack, this will be in black's favor. But if, let's say, something like b4, c4 happens on the board, and white will open this diagonal for the g2 bishop, then black may face some problems.
Yeah, I agree. If this bishop gets some action over this a8, h1 diagonal, then things are going to be hectic. What did you think about the b3 move before? Because you were saying that it's important to keep your king safe, and white played b3 in order to prevent knight c4 ideas, but it is weakening the c3 pawn and also a little bit the king. Was it worth to play b3, do you think?
I didn't like this move so much because now black has an easy play with rook ec7, bishop a3. This may be like a problem for white.
Yeah, big problem. 95 played. Will white keep the c3 pawn alive? That's the big question. Also, we've got still 1 minute up in time for Mr. Stoyanov. Um, I like 95 though. I mean, at some point you could say, "Oh, my pawn on c3, you can take it," but then of course there's a nice little trick in the position. So yeah,
Yeah, also
black
knight
needs to be
b5, it
careful.
opened the line for the queen, so the queen from e3 is also protecting the pawn now. And yes, I was going to speak about f6, but after f6, the knight had to go back to f3, but now the e6 pawn is a weakness. Well, yes, this idea was bishop h3 and b4 is a good one.
Yeah,
White
c3.
can't take on b4 as the rook on c2 will be hanging.
Mhm.
C4, d takes c4. So what to do? Take on e6.
Yeah, I guess you have no choice. I guess
Take
takes.
rook a6 and rook c3.
And black is just entering. Maybe
And
even
maybe
b takes
rook
c3.
e2 to defend it this
Yep.
way.
Rook takes, rook e2. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. The bishop is totally stuck on a3. That's why I was maybe thinking of taking with the pawn at some point, but I don't think this is the best move. You would ideally want to get a knight to b4, but there's also rook takes a6, which makes things kind of difficult. I'm not too sure what this position is. But let's see, time trouble is in the air, so let's stick to the game. What's happening? Rook e3 played after queen b7. So I guess now it's simply b takes c3 and knight takes b3 on the next move. Shouldn't that be winning for black?
B takes c3 and knight b3 is a nice idea. Also knight c4 may be possible, but knight b3 is... Oh yeah.
It's on the board. Sorry for the
King
quick.
a1, bishop b2,
Yeah,
and queen
bishop
b3.
b2, queen f4, queen a1 should be over.
Just... Oh, queen c8 and rook c3.
Oh wait! Oh my god. He immediately spotted that as well. It was an 8 tempo move, queen takes c8. Wow, we. So that means that white is actually winning. White is now a piece up, and actually it makes me so happy. My teammate's going to win. Yes. Awesome. Well,
Now
actually
he
there's
has
queen
to be
b1.
careful actually.
You still have to be careful. Queen takes b7 is a nice bailout move, but you want to keep the queens on the board if possible. No, you have to do it, yeah.
You have to do it because you have to win the c3 pawn, and that was not possible with rook on b7 because yes,
Yeah.
mate was
Because
coming.
queen b1 cannot be defended and queen takes b7 has to be played. The moves are rapidly coming in. Yeah, white is just a lot of material up, isn't it? Isn't he?
Not like a lot, but yeah, they have like one piece more while the king is a bit weak, so it's not so clear. Especially when you have only 15 seconds, it's not so clear.
That's really
Rook
true. Queen
b3,
takes
queen d4 with a
d4
check.
looks
He missed
terrible.
it. He missed that it's coming with a check.
Oh my god, now black
Right?
is suddenly winning. Make a draw
Yeah,
somehow. Oh, mate, come on.
mate. Queen
Black is not.
a4 check can be one. So
Queen b1. Oh, black's got a nice and juicy pawn here on f4, actually. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Queen c4. I guess king
king b1.
b1. Okay, this is going to be very, very hectic. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe a5, rook b7, and king a6.
Yeah, you don't have bishop f1 ideas yet. So just play bishop f3 at some point. But bishop b4 covers everything. That would be kind of really bad. Okay, bishop f3, nice. Playing for the trick, but bishop b4, I think, stops everything.
Bishop b4 is the problem. Maybe bishop
Mhm.
b4 is the only move.
Yeah.
Okay, queen f1, but queen f1 doesn't help much. Bishop b4 was
Ay, ay, ay,
found.
ay. This is not looking good for white.
Is this game important for the overall match score?
Let's take a look. We've got the results updated except for this game, it seems. So yeah, Belgium has already lost the match. So this
True.
game doesn't really matter for the match points anymore, but it is for honor and glory and for the board points, of course, that Castrillo Mehmeti is still playing. So yeah, he can make it to 4-2. Bulgaria already won the match. And let's see, what other results do we have? We have Kyrgyzstan losing against Australia, Bangladesh losing against Belarus with 2-4. Turkmenistan losing against Germany with 3.5, 2.5, a very tight match. And Philippines winning 3.5, 2.5. That was actually a leaderboard game. Philippines and Indonesia both had 100% score after round one in the match. So this is the last game of the round. And let's also see what the standings are. The standings, I believe, are also updated. Yeah, The standings are also updated. So here you go. Australia, Philippines, Germany, and Bulgaria, the four teams that are still on a 100% score. And yeah, this game is over, won by Bulgaria. So that was actually a 5-1 victory for Bulgaria. And with that, everybody, we are going to go to a short break. And after the break, we will be back with round three of Pool A and actually also round one of Pool B. Pool B will start also after a few minutes. So, everybody, once again, grab some popcorn, stretch your legs, pet the dog. Pets need some love, of course. And after a few minutes, we will be back with more chess.
Yes, we will be back very soon. And please, once again, shout out to Australia team who won all the games. They have 12 points, 12 out of 10. Well done.
Hello, everybody, and we are back once again after the short break. Yeah, we just covered round two and round one of Pool A of the Olympiad 2020, something that, yeah, of course, everybody was looking for. We're going to see the top dogs playing in a little bit, and we are actually closing in further and further towards the top division. Okay, for now, oh yeah, of course, I'm not here alone. I'm here with Anna. How you doing, Anna? How is it? How do you think the tournament's going in general?
Hi, Roland. Hi, everyone. Once again, we have seen so many amazing games and crushing attacks, as well as some upsets. And yeah, it was really fun commentating on that, and we will continue commentating on the other games later on.
Mhm.
But yeah, as we mentioned before going for a short break, we have some leading teams. Maybe we can bring the leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna show you the standings right now. As you can see, Pool A, Australia doing very well. Philippines, Germany as well with 100% score, and also Bulgaria winning all the matches so far after two rounds. And okay, that is Pool A. Actually, also while round three of Pool A is being played, also round one of Pool B is going to be played. And as you can see, there are some countries to look out for. We're going to show you, of course, the results of round one in Pool B, but we are right now, we're going to focus on round three of Pool A, the last round to be played of Pool A, but also keep in mind that Pool B is also going to start. All right, so let's now also see what the pairings are for this round three in Pool A. So Indonesia versus oh, that's such a hard name to pronounce. Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan, right?
Thousand apologies. Germany versus the Philippines. That's an
This
interesting
will
match.
be a very important match.
Yep, those two are actually two of the leaders in this pool. Yeah, and we've got Belarus, Turkmenistan, Belgium, Bangladesh, Australia, Bulgaria. Actually, I think the top teams are facing each other. Australia versus Bulgaria as well, also two of the leaders in this pool. So yeah, this is a very exciting round for us to take a look at, and I'm going to check if the games are already starting. Let me see. Yep, the games are underway, and I'm going to try and find if I can try and see if I can find one of the top matches: Germany, Philippines, and Australia, Bulgaria. All right, let me check. Uh, nope. Uh, yeah. Hey, we
Yes,
got it.
so
Okay,
we will
let's.
have the game soon. So I
Yeah.
believe now we have two really very important matches: Germany versus Philippines and Australia versus Bulgaria. I would suggest we pay more attention to these matches because they will actually define
Yep.
who will have better
I
chances to qualify
100%
to the
agree
top
with that
division.
idea. I'm sorry. I 100% agree with that idea. So yeah, here we got board one, Germany versus Philippines. Like you said, one of the main matches of this round. Do you know anything about this opening, Anna? Oh,
I have some idea. It's still the main line, one of the main lines of the King's Indian defense. So yeah, it's still the theory. E takes d4, knight d4 was played. And now white has some space advantage and they have very solid position while black has just played c6 and they were trying to push d5, but they prefer to start with knight bd7, first developing some pieces.
yeah. Notice, by the way, that the black player still has a full 15 minutes, so he's blitzing everything out. That means probably that he's still in theory. Yeah, I believe that GM Naroditsky is playing this almost every time when I see him play on his Twitch channel. I think he's just one of the leading experts in this opening where you actually try. I think one of the common ideas is to play knight h5 and f5. I think that's how he plays it as well. But yeah, you can also go for the slow approach, knight bd7, knight e5, some a6, b5, perhaps at some point, or maybe just a5, queen
Knight
b6, knight
c5.
c5. The
Maybe
classical way of playing.
Just quickly show why d5 immediately instead of knight bd7 was not chosen. And there may be the idea of playing e takes d4, c takes d4, c5 for white now. And d5 will be kind of a weak pawn, though after knight c6 the game is unclear. But also, instead of e takes d5, there is the idea of maybe taking c takes d5, c takes d5, and bishop g5, uh, putting more pressure over the d5 pawn. And if d takes e4, then knight e4 will be a pin. So maybe black simply preferred to, develop the pieces first, and knight bd7 was played instead.
I agree. Yeah, I think this was a very good option, though. I think that if black can simplify the position like this, that the position should be more or less equal. But like you said, a move like bishop g5 could make things very difficult for black. And instead, he went for the very slow approach, knight bd7, bishop f4 played, and this is the current position on the board. Yeah, I always feel like that in these type of positions where black is giving the space advantage to white, the problem is for white to keep control. So, for example, you need to take breaks like d5 always into consideration, and also breaks like a6 and b5. If you can keep the position under control and start pushing slowly your own pieces, for example, with b4 and b5 at some point, then white is going to be very good. But the hard part of the openings like this is actually to keep the control there. You have to break at certain points. You have to keep calculating for breaks like d5. So yeah, it's a very practical opening, but I don't see it played on top level anymore.
Yeah, it's not met so often on the top level, but I guess some years, maybe some 20 years ago, it was quite popular. And the
Mhm.
general idea, I would say, is that white should play solid because strategically they are better, while black should try to find some counterplay. They should try to make the position more complicated.
Yeah, I agree there. Solid approach. Try to slowly push forward to break through the black position. All right, but this is still the opening. Let's see if we can find another game. So, okay, we've got here board two between Germany and the Philippines. Um, yeah, what's what's going on here? I think black has a nice and solid space advantage. White wants to play b4. This is actually looking like a King's Indian reversed a little bit.
Indeed, that's what I wanted to say, but you are first to do that. The pawns on c5, d4, and e5 versus the pawns c4, d3, e4. Indeed, looks like the King's Indian reversed, and the plans for white in this position may be to either trying to push b4 with bishop d2, rook b1, b4, or trying to go on the king's side with knight h4 and pushing f4.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree there. Black's plans could maybe be something like b5. Well, black just played a6, so I'm pretty sure that that's what black is going for. Yeah, black this time has the positional advantage, so black should play this very solidly, and try to counter everything that white is doing more or less. So knight d2, opening up f4, queen c7, protecting against f4. So yeah, they're playing a very strategical game here. Maybe b4.
True.
Well, if f4, I'm not a big fan of this knight d2 move, to be honest, because the bishop is now not covering f4, and the bishop is now also not covering the b4 square. So I'm not sure what white's plan is. Maybe it's actually better to put it just back and go like this or something. What do you think, Anna?
I am not a big fan of knight d2 either. On the other hand, I think white had something in mind, so we will see it in the next moves. What
Yeah.
about the next boards?
Yep, of course. Let's go to Lara Schultz once again. Oh, I love this. I love this. I just made a DVD on this opening, actually. I recognize it
Oh,
immediately. It's a Knight F6. It's an Alyakine. Yeah, very awesome. Now in stores on the gingergm.com web shop, everybody. some small commercial
That's
here.
a little advertisement.
Yeah, well, this line I recognize immediately. It's a very positional line played by, I think, Alexander Grishuk, for example, with white, very solid. And but with e5, black is trying to open up the position here a little bit. Bishop g, I think actually that they're still following theory here. Bishop
Maybe they
g5.
followed your DVD, don't
Yeah,
you think?
maybe they watched my DVD. That would be really awesome. Yeah. Yeah, bishop g5. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if a5 was the best move because now knight b5 it looks very strong. I actually think that with a5 they're not following my DVD anymore with black.
So no, they didn't watch it. What a pity. But
Well,
they will have a reason to watch it after that, especially if
exactly.
White
That's
wants to
what I
get a
was
good
going to
position
say.
after
Watch
that.
my DVD. I'm just
So
going to
this,
smile for a bit, but that's all. Okay. a5. Let's see. Bishop g5. The queen has got a hard time to find a good spot. Maybe queen d7 is the best move.
I think queen
It,
d7 was the best move because f6 was not possible as the pawn was pinned. While queen c7 or queen e8, I didn't like both of the moves because of knight b5, and I don't see a good way to defend the d6 pawn. That's why I preferred queen d7, the move you mentioned before.
yeah, I agree. And then I think a line is to take,
Take,
exchange, maybe. I think I
say knight d7, then knight c5.
g4 is
Oh,
sometimes a problem for black, but you could also play something like rook a1 at some point, maybe knight b or knight d5. I'm not 100% sure how this goes, but
maybe bishop d7, in fact, queen takes d7, bishop d7.
mhm.
But
Yeah,
still, white is better because they have initiative. Let's say rook a d1, already placing the rooks on the open files. Yeah,
yeah,
comparing to the black rooks, white is doing better.
looks better for white. I agree. Yeah. All right. Now that was fun for me. Let's see. Queen c8, knight b5 played. We'll see what will happen in this position later. Let's move on. Oh, actually, by the way, after queen d7, you do have to account for g4 and d5 ideas here.
No,
Bishop
indeed.
might be
Maybe
threatened.
bishop g4 sacrifice, but
Yeah,
that's
that's
another
true.
story.
Actually, you do have to sacrifice and then e4 on the next move. This is looking very scary, actually. Okay. Well, we'll see what's happening. Let's move on to the next one. So that is Phyllis versus Jan. So this is probably the second female board. So that means board 4 of the match. I think
I
black is doing
struggle to
pretty
say who
okay.
is better in this position. I prefer white a little bit. What do you think?
You think white's better? I was actually going to say black is better. I don't know. Black has a very solid pawn structure, while white has a little more of pawn groups. But yeah, white is very solid. Black has the bishop pair, but white
But
is
this will be
probably going
taken.
to take that one off. Oh, okay. Never mind. Maybe later. You don't have to take just yet. But what I liked was that after taking, white more or less has two passed pawns,
Yes,
while
I
black still
wanted to
hasn't.
explain why actually I preferred white because after, let's say, knight c6, bishop c6, the position we have more or less on the board, we already have the postpone, the a postpone, while black doesn't have one.
Yeah,
And
not yet.
if we trade the rooks, this will be a huge improvement for white because
Mhm.
then it will be easier to push the pawn.
I agree. Yeah, so far these pawns might be not connected, but they're very hard to attack. What I was going to say, but what about a move like rook a5 at some point? Then rook
A rook
h5.
a5 and then rook h5 or rook f5. Maybe the idea, but this needs a lot of tempest to do that. And even if you take the h2 pawn, the rook will be far away from the a pawn. So
Mhm.
yeah, this idea is possible, of course, but too many moves.
Yeah, it's a long way for black, and of course the other rook still has to come in somehow. So yeah, it's a very double-edged position, I would say, with well maybe white having the positional advantage. because of the A pawn and B2 pawn. But okay, king
About the
B1
next
played.
game?
Yeah, this is the current position. Let's move on. We've got Daniel Kizon versus Roven Vogel. I think he replaced Louis Engel as the youth board there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, what do you think?
Another King's Indian structure, and I definitely prefer white here because black didn't play c6 and they are struggling to find some counterplay in this position, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe an idea is A6 and B5 at some point, but white also has got
H4,
potential.
yeah, it doesn't look good for black.
Yeah, I think this is just a lot better for whites. I agree. All right, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, it's nice when we draw quick conclusions, then we can just move on to the next board. All right. So, oh,
Some
this
Benoni structure.
actually this, oh no, I was thinking maybe this was a Dutch, but no, it's not. Oh, that's too bad. But okay, looking good for white again. White has some pressure on this diagonal, it seems. Black still doesn't have B5 on the board.
You
I
know
think,
what's the funny part? The funny part is that if black takes on e4, if black took on e4, and after bishop e8, I think the only way to defend the pawn. Okay, they could play queen f6 still, but I was thinking
oh,
about knight h8.
that's beautiful. That's such a beautiful piece. I mean, you love to see it, on knight on h8. Looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. It will win the beauty prize for sure. You can play, yeah, but how do you continue? I mean, the knight on h8 is very, very passive at the moment, but how do you make use of that knight?
Maybe try to break with f5. So we need knight g4 for that.
Okay, what about bishop f5?
Yeah, bishop f5. Not so clear.
It's not so clear how to continue, yeah? Maybe g4 is a good move, actually. Not too sure.
Oh yeah,
F5.
g4.
Or is it
Maybe
too
later
much?
on some idea with knight h1 and knight g3. We like to put the
You,
knight on these squares, the
yeah,
viewers
you have a
may
thing
see.
for knights on the absolute corners. Okay, so we got h8, we've got h1. How can
Yeah,
we get
we
h1 over
feel the beauty of the game.
here? Yeah, okay, but black is still solid. Yeah, but we're struggling to find a good way for white to continue, yeah? Okay, but okay, let's
True.
move on. We still have, oh, these were actually the top six boards of Germany. Let me see if I can find the other top match between Bulgaria and Australia. Let me see.
Let's move to that match.
Always Belgium. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Board one, Bulgaria versus Australia. Let's see how Anton Smirnov with white pieces is doing versus Alexander Delchev from Bulgaria. Looks like a Marshall Gambit, but it's
Yeah,
not
it looks like a
exactly.
Marshall, but it was a Berlin. Berlin defense.
Yeah.
Ah, no, it was
No.
not Berlin. Sorry, it was an open game.
How do you call this Bishop E7 move? That's a move you don't see very often, yeah?
Uh, we call it Rajabov's line.
Is it Rajabov's
I think
line,
he
really?
played some games with Bishop e7, and then Magnus Carlsen played some games with Bishop e7 like
Okay.
1 year ago.
All right.
So yeah.
Well,
The
interesting
main
move.
move is b5, followed
Yeah, of
by
course.
d5. I play this line quite often with black pieces, but Bishop e7, it's like to get your opponent out of preparation, more or
Yeah.
less, because this Bishop e7 move is not so popular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very clever if you want to go for something, yeah, to throw off your opponent. Especially that's a good strategy in blitz games, I believe. But I also know that Alexander Delchev knows his theories, so let's just move on straight to the games. Knight c3, short castle. Knight takes a4, bishop d6, rook e1.
just a second, rook d5. We could also point that rook d5 was not possible because of bishop h2 trick.
Yeah, a very common, how do you say, discovery check for black. Now that you've seen it, you will never fall into this trick again, everybody. Promise. Oh, I'm gonna stop, really stop making that joke. That's such an awful joke. All right, so queen takes d5, and yeah, you'll be very happy, of course, with black. All right, so that's not what happened. White played rook e1, queen h4, queen h3, knight c3. So white is a pawn up, but black has the bishop pair in a more or less open position. Would you pick black or white here, Anna?
Yeah, also g3, I mean black forced white to play g3, what means that these light squares may be the problem for white, g2 and f3. If one day the bishop comes to f3,
Oh,
uh, this will be a big problem.
mhm.
Yeah, so I think black has a nice compensation for the sacrifice pawn. Let's say if they play c6, I am not even sure that the pawn on d5 is hanging. Well, maybe it's hanging, yeah.
Well, you want to play bishop b7, I suppose, yeah, but the
Yeah,
problem
we
is,
thought
let's
about
see.
that, but bishop b7, c4, and we cover this diagonal.
It's still a nice bishop, but yeah, it's two pawns now and no threats yet, so this might be a bit dangerous for black. A little bit to sacrifice another pawn. Some moves have been played, by the way. Bishop g4, queen d3, c6, queen f1, queen h5. Black does not want to trade the queens.
Oh, it
Bishop
really
d2,
looks like
and this is the current position on the board.
a bishop f5, attacking the c2 pawn, and I believe it will be taken.
I think so too. And well, actually, I have a never mind. I wanted to go for a trick here, but 92 is also good. I wanted to try rook c1, bishop takes, and then 94, but I don't think that works.
Even bishop takes e4 is sufficient, but maybe d takes e4, rook c2, e takes e3, yeah, the best.
Oops. Yeah, that really hurts. So yeah, my tricks don't always work. Yeah.
We
All
are
right.
here to
So
try all the tricks. Some of
yeah,
them work, some of them don't.
then don't. Yeah, sometimes playing for tricks could backfire harshly. 92. Okay, you say, will you take on c2 here? It looks like the best move. Yeah, it's done, and now knight f4.
In
Hmm.
the worst case, black can now take on f4 and they are not worse.
No, I agree there. There's not much going on in this position. All right, let's move on to the next one then. Anton Smirnov versus Delchev, more or less equal. But now Max Illingworth versus Stoyanov, an endgame.
This is also more or less equal
Okay.
material on the board and not so much material on the board.
Yeah, I mean, white does have a weak pawn on b2, but maybe actually after knight d6 and maybe start running the pawn could actually be an asset there. I would pick black though, because the rook is very active. This pawn could very well be a weakness at some point. But yeah, I agree with you. It should be about equal. I also think so.
Yes, because even if eventually white loses this beta pawn and so the minor pieces will be traded, it's still theoretically a draw.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on. Easy evaluation. Let's go. Yeah, do you
Oh,
want to say
and
something about this?
black is a pawn up,
Hmm.
but white has great chances to save the game.
Yeah, legendary player of the game, by the way, Antoinetta Stefanova, playing for Bulgaria on the first board. She was a former world champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, also the former European champion. She's a grandmaster. She's a very strong player,
Hmm.
rated nearly 2500. And yes, I have played many games with Antonetta.
Yeah, so a very strong women board for Bulgaria. She's going to do
Oh, she decided to
work.
simplify it. And
Yeah, but this ending is now very easily a draw. The extra pawn doesn't really matter, and even if you have the pawn on g6, then still it would be quite an easy draw. Right, but nice that she's participating. One of the most famous players so far. Let's see, Rook d2. This is Yulia Ryanova versus Nurgul Salimova. We're still watching Australia versus Bulgaria. White's a pawn up here.
And I think this is the game that will go well for Bulgaria. Most probably, Nurgul will win this game because she is a full pawn up and not so much of compensation for it. Okay, it's
That's
not so
true.
easy to convert because, yeah, these rooks on b8 and c8, they are not allowing to push the pawns like we can
Yeah,
play
I need
before now.
to learn how to make the square green, but okay, here you go.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, white needs some technique, some good technique to win this game,
I
but
agree.
white is definitely much better.
Yeah, and actually, let's remind everybody, all the well, some of the participants in this division too. We've got a lot of teams here for you that you are going to see throughout the day. For example, we see now in this Pool A, we see Germany, one of the rating favorites to qualify for the next division. And later, all the other countries are also going to participate. So we have a long day of commentary ahead of us. All right, let's move back to another game. So let me find I think we still have two games of Bulgaria versus Australia. This looks like an interesting one.
Oh, this looks like a complicated one. Knight c2. So what's happening on the board?
Mhm.
It's equal material. The rook on a1 is under the attack, so we have to move it to b1. Or what's the best square?
Hmm, that's tough.
Maybe,
Hmm.
maybe.
Rook A2, all for draw? Nah,
Ah, you prefer the
all for
draws.
draw like this. I'm sorry.
No,
It could
Roland.
very well
No.
happen, yeah. Otherwise, Rook B1 looks like a normal square.
Rook b1. Yeah, I like rook b1.
Yeah, it's not doing much yet, but it's safe from any tricks with the knight. And one of the things that I notice is this square for the knight on c. What?
Oh, another trick. Knight g6. So if queen f4, then knight e7 intermediate check. So queen.
That's true. Yeah, so queen takes f4 is not good because you take with check, king h8, and then you take here. You've won a piece. Black can still take here, but this is just a very, very good position for white. Two pieces versus a rook. Um, Yeah, let's find out. 96. This, do you think that Tamur is playing a lot of Puzzle Rush, or
But it's not winning on the spot because black can still move the queen somewhere.
where would
Uh,
you go?
where would I go? Maybe to c5?
Okay, I guess I'm gonna take the bishop.
I take back.
Yeah, and now move the rook somewhere.
The bishop on a2 is under attack.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that loses material for white. Yeah, that's true. So okay, Queen C5. Maybe you have another in between move somehow. Trying to find something here that maybe
Somehow,
can
yeah,
put the knight
I was
away.
thinking about b4, but I'm not sure that works. Bishop
You
e3
can also
knight.
take the rook here, by the way.
Yeah, we
I'm
can
not
also
sure.
take the rook.
Yeah, and if you
So too many
take on
pieces are
a1,
hanging.
yeah, now what's happening here?
Bishop e3, maybe, why not?
Yeah,
Attacking the
bishop
queen and the knight.
e3, take the knight. Looks okay for white. I mean, the queen has to go somewhere. White's fully developed. Let's say you go here, rook takes, bishop takes. White should be really better here,
Knight
especially actually
b6.
after knight b6.
Maybe white is winning, not only better.
Yeah, could very well be. So okay, let's see. Knight g6. Actually, this could be a brilliant move.
Maybe bishop d6.
Oh, that would be fancy. Let's see. Bishop d6, I guess. Well, I would already be more or less happy with queen takes, but let's try and be ambitious with knight takes d6.
8 takes g6.
Okay, rook. I want to go here actually now, because
Rook
then I have
a4
rook
and rook
c4.
c4 is the threat.
Yeah, you do have bishop e6, preventing everything, but
But bishop f3 or...
what about, you know what? I'm just gonna do it.
Oh,
Yeah. Queen
And now,
takes, check, king goes, and hopefully it will be made like this, but yeah, of course not. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, a very complicated position.
this is the
Black is
first line we
thinking.
are going to see, yes? Yes.
Black played queen d8. Yeah, that's normal. Very close though. Knight queen d8 played. Knight takes a fate now. I think
Knight
white's just a lot
one
better
is
here.
forced. And then
Knight
knight d6 is
f1.
coming.
Yeah. Oh, now at least you don't have bishop e3, by the way, with tempo. But knight b6. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
rook a7,
dangerous.
queen b8. Rook is trapped.
Yeah, looks lost. All right, nice trick by the youngster from Australia. Actually, we've got one more board left in this matchup. Let's take a look. The junior female boards, Cassandra Lim versus Victoria Radeva. And wait, this is not, wait, what? White's
Incorrect
just a
position for
piece
white.
up.
Exchange
Yeah,
up, but still.
exchange, but still should be
Rook
more than
e2,
enough.
or rook a7, or rook e2. Rook e2 is safer.
Yep, preventing a pawn grab on b2.
Yeah, just winning.
All right, no, that's easy. We've got a result actually. We've got Belgian player board one, I believe, Leonard Lennartz playing against Nias Mershad. That was a draw, not much going on here. We've got some more results. This one was a win for the player from Indonesia. It seems, right? No, it was White who won. White won this? Oh, there's no time. Yeah, you hate to see it. Black lost on time. Black forgot about the time, or
Yeah,
there was a
but b3,
misconnection.
queen c2, and the pawn is running.
Yeah,
Wow, that's upsetting.
yeah, you hate to see it. That is sometimes the case in events like this. Sometimes unstable internet connections, or yeah, just forgetting about the time. That's unfortunate. But moving on. Let's see if how the Germans are doing. If I can find one of their games. Yeah, sure. Let's see. So Germany versus the Philippines, two of the leaders in the current standings. And what's going on here?
Wow, what a game. Seems like black is winning because the h3 pawn is very strong and the bishop on f3 is blocking everything. Just a dominating bishop.
Hmm. And the knight is under attack at the moment.
And
And
it's
also, I
very
was
good.
surprised that the bishop wasn't taking off the board, by the way. We checked this position earlier, I think. White had a chance to take on c6, exchange the bishop, but yeah, that decision, I think, more or less backfired for White to let the bishop live. But still, it's not that easy. You could rook g2, h2 perhaps, or something. It's actually White to move here, of course, because the knight's attacked. How would you continue after a move like knight c4? Yeah, that was played. Okay, there you go.
Maybe even rook d4. Just, yeah, get rid of this rook from h4.
Yeah, White has
The
to
rook that
take
is preventing me from pushing the pawn, and then rook h1, and then move the pawn.
and just start running, yeah? Like Forrest Gump. Yeah, the pawn is gonna be running over the board. Yeah, looks winning for black. All right, let me find another game. We've got Mark Paragua versus Dennis Wagner.
Mm, this one is
It's
not so
interesting.
clear.
Oh, well, actually, I now realize the white has two pieces for the rook.
Yeah, two pieces and the strong pawn on d7, but it's under the attack. And yeah, according to computer's evaluation, it's more than +2, but I wouldn't say it's so clear.
Yeah, I think you have to make one or two accurate moves.
Maybe knight e4. It's a bit knight e4, queen
Could
g6.
be. What about a simple move like knight e3 to try
You
and simply
prefer the
defend?
simple moves, yes.
Yeah, sometimes when you're material up, you just simple moves are maybe the easiest way to play. But knight
Good to
f5
do
might be
this.
very interesting as well.
Knight f5, can we take on d7 after that?
Probably. I'm pretty sure you can actually. Takes, unless you have some brilliant trick here.
Some tricks. knight h6. Ah, no, it's the mate on f1. So it was like a
That would
stealth
hurt.
trick.
That would hurt. Nah, knight f5 doesn't seem to be a good idea. Yeah, so maybe knight e4 or knight f3. Actually, I like knight e4. If you, for example, play queen e5, then now you can. Um, I was thinking play knight f5, but actually this is with a check. So you have to be really really careful with white.
So we are kind of facilitating
Yeah,
to
I think it would be a good idea to just say, I'm gonna play a simple move. Let's play knight f3.
yeah, you started with that move. It's like intuition.
Intuition, indeed. I like to play my game safe, it seems. Yeah, not the
Knight of six.
adventurous type. I also don't make go to Robinson Crusoe out trips. I never mind. No jokes from me, please. Okay, it's still morning, everybody. Oh no, it's not. Okay, well I have no excuse. No jokes. Okay, never mind. Let's go next game. Where are we? We are here, so that means let's move on to board two. Big developments. We said
Wow.
earlier that black was doing all right with space advantage, and now black is
Doing
also
all
having
right.
a field day over this one. But there are still maybe some tricks in the air. King g7 I like, but after h5, for
Rook
example.
h8.
Ah, that's clever. Yeah, yeah. So if h5, trying to open up the position, black has rook h8, trying to counter that idea because there's a pin on the h file. Yep, looks good. Yeah,
Looks
black
like, I
just looks
mean, these
good.
knights are really very well placed, especially the knight on e5. The c4 and e4 pawns are potentially weak. Also, h pawn and a3 pawn are not so good. And black is a pawn up, by the way.
Yeah,
So,
that's true too. Black is a pawn up, so yeah, this looks winning for black in that case. Actually, I'm also very curious about the Anton Smirnov game. Let's take a look at how that one is going. So we are once again moving back towards the Bulgaria-Australia matchup. And wow, I was gonna say the white's a pawn down, but it's actually not, although technically you might think so, because the b2 pawn is a permanent weakness now. And
yeah,
also
and a
big.
very smart choice for black not to trade the queens because, in fact, white's king is much weaker. I don't like this position for white at all. The king is weaker, pawn structure is worse. Uh,
How would you continue here, though? What is the plan of action? How can you try and break through? Because white is basically going to stand and not do anything. Queen d1, by the way, seems to win a pawn, but after rook with the d pawn, but after rook e1, it's protected, so no tricks there. Yeah, it's tough. I wouldn't know was going on here. You ideally want maybe to use the e-file at some point, but you also don't want to trade the rooks because then you've got less winning chances in this opposite colored bishop ending. So yeah, what's the winning
oh.
idea here?
I don't think we have something like the winning idea or something like the winning plan, but we should try to pose problems and try to attack something like maybe rook c6, then perhaps with the idea of bishop d3.
Yeah,
What about this move?
try
Uh,
and get some action over the c-file.
or, or or sometimes h4, but h4 is double-edged. With h4, you also open black skin a little bit, so you have to be careful when playing this move. But h4 and h3 may also be the plan. I mean, I'm just pointing the plans. I think the best would be if we could penetrate with the rook, but it's not so easy to do. That's why I
Yeah.
propose rook c6. I don't know if rook c6 was played, maybe no.
Let's see. So the current position is this one. So
Wow.
I guess rooks were simply traded. But black is still very comfortable. I really like this pawn on a4, protecting the b pawn. So yeah, and actually there are some huge threats already in the position for white. So and with low time on the clock, this is looking pretty bad for white actually. And actually king g1 loses another pawn on h3. but not
But it
being
was not
seen.
taken.
Maybe
No,
you
not like they
can.
didn't see it, but maybe
No,
black thought that bishop d3 first was stronger.
oh, bishop e4
Bishop
looks
e4,
winning.
queen h2, queen
H2, queen
g4.
f5, queen g4, queen d1 next.
Very unpleasant for
Oh,
white.
it's so hard to defend positions like this.
True. Yeah, the threats are coming from everywhere. And yeah, when we are speaking about opposite colored bishops,
Oh,
as we
yeah,
mentioned, it's very important to keep your king safe.
it's over.
That's
Yeah,
all.
I was gonna say I would maybe rage quit in this in a game like this because it's just yeah, it's so unpleasant to play a game like this. By the way, I'm joking, guys. I never rage quit. Check my channel for that one. I never rage quit. But Queen f3, you do. Yeah, this was a very nice game by Alexander Delchev. I think so. Very nicely done. So Bulgaria winning on board one. Anton Smirnov losing this game. Yeah, not the best start for Australia. Let's see how board two is doing. Never mind, that one's over. Good for Australia this time. So that is a 1-1. This is a draw between. Oh yeah, this was the rook ending which we saw. Easy draw. So that means 1.5, 1.5. This is a win for
Nervous.
Bulgaria once again. Two queens versus one. And then we still have this board, which is our analysis board. Let's see what happened in the official game. A lot. A
Oh,
lot.
wow. So it's 2.5 to 1.5, yes?
Yep,
Or
and we've got one more result, and that is a win for Bulgaria on the last board.
well,
So,
then it's 3.5 already. So Bulgaria won an important match.
yep, it seems like it. And this one was a draw as well. So, yeah, it seems like Bulgaria won the match against Australia. Big win for them.
What about Indonesia?
Indonesia, right? Let me check if I can find a game. Lots of games already finished. I don't see any Indonesia game here. No, the Indonesia games are finished. So there are only three games still playing. And which one looks the most interesting? This one does not look interesting,
This
but
one was 3 pawns up.
maybe this one? Nah. Easy draw, right?
This is Belarus, but it's another match. Yeah, easy draw.
Then this one, Belgium. This one might be the most interesting one. Rook a4. What's the purpose of
Perpetual check. Let's show it. Rook a4, cool idea.
it? All right.
So if black takes the rook, then we play queen d8, king g7 is forced, queen f6. And yeah, the queen is checking.
Yeah. And it's a
Eternal check.
draw, indeed. Okay, but black did not take the rook. Instead, rook c8, g3, h5, rook f4, and we have a time scramble. Black needs to play fast, otherwise he might run out of time.
What about some ideas like rook f6 and rook g6? Nice idea, but you would say black would play queen.
Well, I'm gonna, why not take here?
Why not taking? Yeah. Even better, queen f6,
At
and
least a
then
draw, it seems like.
maybe rook c2 was a mistake.
I think so. Rook takes f7 on the board, not played. Queen f6 on the board, rook
Oh
c7,
no,
king
that
g2.
was missed.
Missed chance there. Yeah, what's the idea now? Do you want to? Nah, you would. No, I was going to suggest that might be too much, but actually, after rook takes and maybe an actually you could play h5 now. Nah, that's too much. Rook h1 first, preparing h5. White is going to go all out here. Come on,
But
black, you
white
need
has no
time.
choice.
h5. Oh,
The
this is
queen
so.
f7. Queen f7.
Oh, that's mate.
Queen f7.
This is all. Oh, this. Yeah, okay. What is happening here?
Wow.
Queen g7. Wow, that okay, time ran out.
Oh my god, what a game.
What a game. Yeah, white went all out here. What was a way to maybe make this a thing here? How could you defend here actually? Isn't white just maybe simply winning?
So rook c4 would be a cool move if the pawn on f7 was not hanging.
Yeah, so
Unfortunately, yeah, that's not possible. Maybe trying to bring the queen, something like queen c5, queen e7. What about that?
Ah, that sounds like a very good idea. Yeah.
But still
H5,
not clear. IH5, queen e7, take
I
on
guess
g6,
H takes.
queen f6, rook f6.
Well,
Uh,
this looks okay.
yeah, more or less
But
equal.
I guess you have to take
Still
here.
a
I'm not too
little bit.
sure.
Yeah,
What
take on
would you
g6.
play?
Or rook e8 first.
Yep, looks good. I mean, black is still a pawn up, but yeah, white has so much activity. This pawn will fall at some point. I think black is still struggling, but it should be maybe able to hold. At least in time trouble, it was a very difficult position to defend.
Yes,
Okay.
when you are playing in time travel, it's really important to keep control over the board, to have a plan, and to know what you are doing. Because when the character of the position changes, like it changed after a g4 and then h5, you will simply lose the threat and lose on the spot as it happened. What about the other games? Is there any game running?
Nope, no
Or
games are
there,
running. So yeah, we are done with round three of Pool A.
there is
Uh,
one more game.
I'm sorry. Am I
There
missing
is one
something?
more.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's one more game. You're very sharp. I'm not. Okay, let's go. G5 is still going. Yeah, what's happening? Black's
Black is
trying.
desperately trying to win it.
What is
But
the current
objective.
standings? It seems like Belarus is fighting for match points here. Although we'll keep the results updated. All the games have finished except for this one. The results that you see behind next to the board are uh, updated as much as possible, but some games have not been updated yet. But as you can see, Indonesia won the match against, oh boy, Kyrgyzstan, and Germany won the match against the Philippines. So yeah, Germany doing good business, and Bulgaria also winning a tough match against Australia. So they are doing very well. Belgium also winning the match against Bangladesh. And then the only result that's missing is Belarus versus Turkmenistan, which is
Yeah,
one
that's
of the
the
games.
only the last game running in this round.
Yeah,
And it will be really cool to know the result of the match. What happened on the other boards? What's the score? Because we see 2-1 on the screen, but it's not the correct score.
yeah, not yet. Everything still has to be updated, every result. Yeah, we're getting the results slowly in, everybody, and then we have to make a list. It takes some time. But yeah, we actually do have the results of Pool B. So Pool B started at the same time, but then with round one. So let's take a look at what happened in Pool B in round one. Greece winning the match against Singapore, Romania winning 5-1 against IPCA, the International Physically Disabled Chess Association, and Slovakia winning against Moldova, Thailand losing against Latvia, and Israel winning the match against Austria. Okay, and actually, I think that with this, we are actually gonna go, if I'm not mistaken, let me check. Well, there are people behind me who are ordering me around, so let me check with them what we are going to do. But this game is simply a very easy draw, right? The only way the black can hope for a win is maybe a mouse slip or something else.
Yes, white can simply keep the rook on the fourth rank, and
Yeah.
nothing bad can happen for them in
All
this
right.
case.
And I have confirmation. We are going to a short break, everyone. And mind you, we actually are going to bring a guest on the show who will talk to us about his experiences in the Olympiad. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly after a short break with one of our guests.
Yes, thanks for watching, and we will be back with an interesting interview. So stay tuned and see you soon.
And we are here, like we discussed before we went on a break. We are actually very pleased to have a guest on the show. Welcome, Anton Smirnov, board one player of Australia. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it was a pity that I lost my game, but yeah, but I think our team did quite well today. So
Yeah,
we
I think
won
so too.
6-0 both the first two matches, but lost 2-4 against Bulgaria. So
Yeah. So, how do you feel about the tournament so far? How is it to play in your time? Actually, what time is it at your place in Australia?
now it is 8:52 p.m. So we started at 6 p.m. So I think the timing is quite good. So
Right. Yeah, like our producer said, nice time to play chess. Yeah, so what do you think about the tournament in general? What do you think about the online Olympiad and about the format, for example? Can you share your thoughts on that?
yeah, I think the Online Olympiad is quite an interesting event. Like to be honest, like it kind of reminds me of the Pro Chess League because here, like the time control is 15 minutes plus 5 seconds per move, while in the Pro Chess League, like in previous years, it was 15 minutes plus 2 seconds increments. So I find it very similar, but it's still a bit different because plays can be substituted. So, and in between rounds, while in the Pro Chess League, it was like um, the players played all the matches with no like substitution.
All right. And yeah, yeah, so 2 out of 3 for Team Australia. How do you feel about the chances for your team? Do you think you have a good chance to qualify with your lineup?
I mean, I think we have some chances to qualify. The, like the top three teams, like are probably like I'm not sure in which order, but Germany, Belarus, and Bulgaria. So if we play well, we may be able to like qualify.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. How about the team spirit in your team? I see all of you are playing from your homes, right? Because I heard some teams are actually playing from one place. How is it about your team?
Yeah, so like Australia's a very big country, so we've got players from like Perth, Melbourne, like Sydney, Canberra, so and Brisbane. So it's kind of a bit difficult to like play from a central location, but nevertheless, I think we still have some team spirit, so that's good.
Cool. Uh, Actually, do you often play online or you don't have so much experience? And do you feel there is a big difference between playing online and offline?
Yeah, like kind of due to like the larger distances, like kind of in Australia, you kind of have to play online to play against like strong chess players. So I've played online for like basically the majority of my like chess career. And like I think there's some difference between playing over the board chess and online. It's kind of a bit different because like kind of the visualizations like and also the difference is that you can't really see your opponent's emotions. So sometimes you kind of it's nice to see it's nice to play against an opponent like where you can see a face rather than just like a board in front of you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I asked the chat to, I mean, if there are any questions from our viewers. And yeah, they see you're a bit sad. Well, it's understandable. You have just finished your game and unfortunately you lost it. We covered it a little bit. But here in the chat, people are rooting for you and they just wanted to say that you're doing a great job and they wish you good luck in the next games.
hey, thank you.
Yeah, and for us as well, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast and sharing your thoughts. And of course, all the best for the next rounds, of course.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck to you and good luck to Australian team. So that was Grandmaster Anton Smirnov, a very young player from Australia. Thanks for taking your time and coming to this interview.
Hey, thank you very much for inviting me to take this interview.
Yeah, we're going. That was very exciting to have Anton on the broadcast, and we are almost done actually with this part one of today's broadcast, but we're not going to leave until we show you guys, of course, the standings so far in Pool A and Pool B after round one. So Pool A is finished for today. As you can see, Germany going strong, Bulgaria too, and then we've got Australia also still doing well with a first spot so far. But yeah, there are still a lot of games to play. We still have 6 rounds after this, so anything is still possible. And then we've got Pool B. So far, Romania winning the first game, Slovakia 2, Greece 2, Israel 2, and Latvia 2. And yeah, actually, that'll be it for us for now. We will be back after a longer break. Actually, we are going to take an hour break because us commentators, we are not. Yeah, we sometimes also need a little bit of a break to stretch our legs to get some food. We're not machines to do that. So, but we will be back in like an hour, and then we will cover Pool B and Pool C as well. So yeah, walk your dog and yeah, do everything that you want in an hour. Take a shower or something. I don't know. It's hot here in the Netherlands at least, and we will be back in an hour. Anna, some final words for this part.
Thanks to all of you who were watching this stream. And yes, we will be back quite short, quite soon, just in 1 hour, and we will cover pools B and C. So it will be another exciting stream, which is starting once again in 1 hour. See you soon.